My name is Trayon White, and I'm the council member of the Great Ward 8 and also chairman for the Committee on Recreation, Library, and Youth Affairs. Today is Monday, February the 6th, 2023. We are meeting remotely using the Zoom platform. The time is now 2:05 p.m. I'm calling to order this meeting on the performance oversight of the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs and the Mayor's Office of Caribbean Community Affairs. Since 1976, the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs, also known as MOLA, has served the Latino community of the District of Columbia. The mission of MOLA is to improve the quality of life for district residents, district Latino residents, by addressing a broad range of social, economic needs through strategic management of public and private partnerships, expertise on policy, community relations, civic engagement, and community-based grants. Through outreach, MOLA focused on establishing partnerships, engaging residents in all 8 wards, and disseminating information to these Latino residents to increase their knowledge and access to vital programs and services available to them. And for MOCA, effective May 6, 2020, the Council of the District of Columbia enacted DC Law 23-87, mandating the establishment of the Office of Caribbean Affairs in the District of Columbia's government. The Mayor's Office on Caribbean Community Affairs is committed to promoting and engaging the district's Caribbean community residents, faith leaders, and business owners so they may successfully integrate to civic, economic, and cultural life in the district. As the mayor's liaisons to Caribbean diaspora of Washington, D.C., MOCA connects Caribbean residents and businesses with the district's agencies to foster efficient and effective partnerships, improve access to services, and help break down language and cultural barriers. Checking to see if we have any other members present. Seeing none, we'll start off by calling my first panel of witnesses. They will be promoted from the audience to be a panelist. We have a tight schedule. We request that all witnesses adhere to their allotted time. All public witnesses appearing on their own behalf will have 3 minutes. All those appearing in official capacity or with the agency or organization will have 5 minutes. We're gonna go through our public witnesses, then we're gonna go through our government witnesses. So our first public witnesses are Rebecca Medrano, Gwendion Salibhan, Daniela Garcia, Jeanette Notinius, Nicole Nicaragua. Ms. Medrano, if you're here, you can get started. Good. What's your statement?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Committee Chair Trayon White. And thank you for allowing me to testify. My name is Rebecca Medrano, and I'm the co-founder, executive director of Gala Hispanic Theater, one of the nation's oldest and most recognized Latino arts organizations. I want to start my testimony with a story that illustrates the enormous impact that MOLA, through their support of our community, has on our youth in this city. An angry young Latina girl joined our program, Paso Nuevo, as a sophomore in high school at Chet, where she was on the verge of dropping out. At first, she resisted participating. A few weeks later, she was writing essays about her experiences living with her single mother, whom she supports, her single mother from El Salvador. With help from mentors at Gala, her grades improved and she became a leader in the program, writing and performing the lead characters in the student shows. In her senior year, she asked us to help her get a scholarship to college, which we did. She was the first in her family to attend college. And when she completed her final year, she returned to DC to help her mother. Asked what Gala's program did for her, she said, "It saved my life. I was headed in the wrong direction until I discovered Gala and the Paso Nuevo program. They helped me become the person I am today." This program would not be possible without the support it received from the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs. Gala was founded in 1976 to provide training and performance opportunities to young and emerging Latino multicultural artists throughout the city and to introduce Hispanic arts and culture to a diverse public. Since opening in our permanent home in Columbia Heights, we've served hundreds of at-risk immigrant youth, Black youth, Paso Nuevo program, after school, and summer intensive camp programs that are provided free to all participants. Paso Nuevo provides a safe and creative environment in which young people explore their identity, express concerns and hopes, while at the same time acquiring valuable skills in communication, teamwork, and literacy that encourage them to stay in school and improve their academic performance, making them more competitive in the job market. Many of the students first entering the program are either on the verge of dropping out or performing below grades. Those who stay in the program for more than 3 years graduate at a rate higher than their peers who are not in the program, and most are the first in their families to attend college. Paso Nuevo has been recognized with the National Arts and Humanities Youth Award bestowed by the President's Committee. It's the nation's highest award for out-of-school time programs. Gala also serves thousands of inner-city high school elementary students from all wards through our student matinee programs, which is also supported by MOLA. These weekday programs include introduce students to live Spanish language and bilingual theater, give students and teachers the opportunity to share their ideas and reactions in talkbacks with artists, directors, and experts. All participating teachers are provided study guides containing bilingual information on the author, cultural context, and suggested reading lists. These study guides are invaluable as there continues to be a scarcity of classroom materials that are culturally relevant for Latino students. Statistics tell us Washington continues to be a hyper-growth region with a Latino population estimated to close to 700,000. Of that population, almost 45% is under the age of 25. It is estimated that 1 in every 4 children entering elementary school is of Hispanic descent. MOLA provides a lifeline to these youth and families who benefit from programs supported by the agency. The children and youth who come to Gala face violence both at home and on the streets on a regular basis. At Gala, they discover an extended family and receive constant encouragement and mentoring. These critical programs are made possible only with the support of MOLA. I want to recognize the hard work and leadership of Eduardo Perdomo, the director of MOLA, and his staff, who are always responsive to the needs of our community. I also urge you to increase the budget for this agency in order to meet the growing need for our Latino community. An investment now in these difficult times will reap twice the return and ensure the full participation of some of our city's most vulnerable members, our youth. Thank you so very much. And thank you, Mr. White, for allowing me to testify.
Great, thank you so much, Ms. Medrano. Ms. Soblithan? Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing it.
Hi, that's me. It's Mr. Sullivan.
Mr.
Thank you for having
I
me.
apologize.
That's all right. Good afternoon. I am Gwydion Sullivan. I am the executive director of the Penn Faulkner Foundation, DC-based literary nonprofit. Our mission is to champion the breadth and power of fiction in America. We achieve that mission by giving out national literary awards and hosting public literary programs, but the lion's share of our work, especially over the last few years, takes place in DC public and public charter schools. We bring notable authors, copies of their books, and writing instructors into classrooms all over the city to inspire the next generation of readers and writers. And our education programs impact thousands of DC students annually with an emphasis on Title I public and public charter schools. Students in these schools are significantly less likely to have access to arts education programs than their non-Title I peers. And data from the Casey Foundation shows a stark achievement gap between students in wealthy and non-wealthy schools. As our education programs evolved to meet the urgent needs of these Title I students, we began to explore how best to serve DC's Latino students. In 2017, we launched our Nuestras Voces initiative, which brings culturally relevant, curriculum-connected programming directly to Latino students and English language learners in Title I schools. Nuestras Voces includes 2 programs: Writers in Schools, which brings authors directly to students' classrooms for an interactive discussion and provides each student with a copy of the visiting author's book. And then Writers in Residence, which pairs one classroom with a bilingual professional writer for a year-long multi-session residency. Both of those programs involve close collaboration between our education staff and DC educators, and both are provided to schools at no charge. Now, Nuestras Voces improves students' reading and writing abilities, enables them to see themselves reflected in the books they read, and encourages literary exploration. The program also develops students' soft skills, building their critical thinking skills, their confidence, their empathy, all through the literary arts. And additionally, the program supports Latino artists who live in DC by highlighting their work and sharing it across the city in schools. So much of what we have achieved has been made possible by support from the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs. We believe in the good work they do. We believe in Eduardo Perdomo and his staff. And the more resources they have to offer our organization, the more good work we can do too. So we encourage you to do anything and everything you can to make sure they have what they need to make a difference for Latinos in the public school system in DC. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're moving right along. Give me 1 second. Having some technical difficulties here, but nonetheless, our IT team is here. Fix me up. Miss Daniela Garcia, DC Volunteers Lawyers Project, and I apologize, Mr. Sullivan, again.
That's me. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Chairperson White and members of the committee. My name is Daniela Huerta Garcia, and I am the managing attorney of the immigration program at the DC Volunteer Lawyers Project. First, I would like to thank the mayor and the council for their continued investment in services for immigrants in Washington, DC. We are grateful for the increased funding for this invaluable program. This support makes a critical difference to immigrant communities, as studies show that immigrants represented by attorneys have a drastically higher success rate in receiving immigration relief. At the DC Volunteer Lawyers Project, we believe that a life free of violence and abuse is a basic human right. The mission of the DC Volunteer Lawyers Project is to advocate for domestic violence victims, at-risk children, and other vulnerable individuals through comprehensive pro bono legal services, to empower victims with knowledge, resources, and ongoing support, and to broaden our impact by engaging, training, and supporting a strong and diverse network of volunteer lawyers and community volunteers. In 2022, our attorneys, with the support of a network of hundreds of volunteers who we train and supervise, provided comprehensive legal services to over 1,800 survivors of gender-based violence and at-risk children. Our clients come from all wards of the district. While DCVLP was founded in 2008, our immigration practice launched in October of 2019 with seed money from the Immigrant Justice Legal Services Grant, the IJLS grant of the Mayor's Office. In the past 3.5 years, our program has grown tremendously. In fiscal year 2023, our immigration program received significant funding from the IJLS grant and a smaller award from the Latino Community Development Grant, both administered by the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs. We are grateful for their continued investment in the work of DCVLP. Our immigration program works with survivors of gender-based violence and at-risk children, representing immigrants seeking humanitarian relief through the asylum process, U visas, T visas under VAWA, or through special immigrant juvenile status, among others. So that individuals in need of our services can access us, we operate free walk-in clinics throughout the city. On a weekly basis, we have attorneys at Children's National Columbia Heights Satellite location, AIDS Healthcare Foundation K Street location, and the Mount Pleasant Neighborhood Library. We intentionally partner with community organizations that create wraparound services for our clients. Working with community partners, we are able to provide critical legal services and both receive referrals from organizations working closely with vulnerable populations and refer clients to services that can assist with their non-legal needs. Additionally, it is worth noting that the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs is intentional and effective in building community among their partners. We applaud and appreciate their efforts on this, as we have benefited from this in our ability to create a network of referral partners for the community of clients we serve. The expanded funding from the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs has enabled us to expand our services to meet more and more of the demand for quality, free legal services for vulnerable immigrant residents in the district. In fiscal year 2022, roughly 140 immigrants who are victims of gender-based violence or domestic violence received full legal representation by DCVLP attorneys. Over 20 immigrants received limited scope legal representation by DCVLP attorneys. Approximately 280 immigrants received brief legal consultations at DCVLP walk-in legal clinics. Over 1,350 victims received individual immigration legal needs through our clinics. Additionally, DCVLP attorneys conducted 4 Know Your Rights presentations, where 60 individuals received information about their rights. Without the support of the District of Columbia through the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs, none of this work could have occurred. And for that, DCVLP, and more importantly, our clients, are immensely grateful. To just share one success story, our client was a young man from Zimbabwe where homosexuality is considered a criminal offense. In early 2021, the police raided an LGBTQIA event that he was attending, and a warrant was issued for his arrest. He hid for several days and then fled to the United States. After coming into our clinic in April 2021, he worked with a volunteer attorney to prepare a detailed application for asylum, which they filed in October of 2021. He was given an interview in December of 2021 and then waited an anxious 6 months before being granted asylum in June of 2022. This unusually rapid timeline is a testament to the compelling nature of his story, as well as the quality of the application he was able to submit with his attorney's help. He can now live and work safely in the United States. This is just one example of a multiplying number of successes for DC residents DCVLP has been a part of. Unfortunately, even with our increased funding, our growing program and our volunteer model, DC Volunteer Lawyers Project is only able to take on a small fraction of those cases for full representation. While we have already taken on more cases than our funding covers, there are still many cases that we have to turn away that are in desperate need for an advocate. Additional funding would expand our ability to represent DC residents throughout their entire matter and allow them to have an advocate at every step of the process. Just like the client I talked about earlier, many individuals are unable to navigate the immigration landscape, which was already complex before the pandemic and has now become almost impossible to navigate without assistance. U.S. Court of Appeals Judge Katzman wrote in the Fordham Law Review in 2018 that, quote, for low-income immigrants, having an attorney is the difference between being allowed to stay in this country and suffering catastrophic deportation, end quote. Every immigrant living in DC deserves someone to help them walk through the immigration process so that they have the best chance to share their story and receive the relief they need to continue to be safe. I would like to conclude by thanking Chairperson White for holding today's hearings and thanking Director Perdomo for his excellent work supporting vulnerable immigrants in our city. I would also like to thank Mayor Bowser, Chairperson White, and the rest of the committee for their commitment to the immigrant community here in DC. I am happy to answer any questions that the committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your work. We'll come back with some questions if we have enough time. We're moving to Jeanette Notinius. Okay. There we go. You gotta unmute yourself. I can see you talking, but we can't. You gotta unmute yourself.
Hey, that sounds
There we go.
like all right. All right. Thank you, Chairman, for this hearing, and thank you for all the work that you're doing also not only with schools, but with libraries and the recreation services. I am Jeanette Notinius, and I am the president and founder of the Salvadoran Cultural Institute. We are a nonprofit, 100% volunteer organization whose mission is to educate, promote, and celebrate Salvadoran arts and culture, as well as Latin American arts and culture in schools, in partnerships with Gala Theater, in partnerships with Teatro de la Luna, and other local organizations, including libraries, in order to give the residents of the district, including children, the opportunity to know poets and writers and to look at exhibits by Latin American artists, to go to the theater, and to feel proud of who they are as Hispanic residents in the District of Columbia. I concur with what my colleague Rebecca Medrano has said, that there are 1 out of every 4 children in the district is Latino. And I was delighted to see that there are 36 bilingual Spanish and English programs in the district, including charter schools. Another interesting data for me is that even though we have all of those bilingual programs, and the number of children that are involved in those bilingual programs, we have very the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs is funding some programs that will support the Spanish-speaking children in these schools. But if we want to take the long view as to why is it that we have bilingual programs, it isn't just to incorporate the Latino population into the DC system, but also to promote Spanish language overall. So this testimony makes us think that we need to do much more work into incorporating into all those 36 bilingual public charter and public schools. In addition, we need to work much harder to integrate the libraries in the whole city so that they have Spanish-speaking books that the children can then identify with. So in other words, I think that there has to be a more of an integration of the libraries, the cultural events, to support Spanish speaking, because it isn't a language is only a language, but if it doesn't have a cultural background and a cultural understanding, it doesn't stay inside. So we want to think, you see what I mean? We want to think, I want to be sure to say that for the first time last year, I testified before this committee, and that the library system in Mount Pleasant was able to purchase more Salvadoran authors and more bilingual books than ever before. So the DC Mount Pleasant Library now has a whole array of books, even books written by the children of the district. I commend that. What I'm here to say, Mr. White, is that we need to give more funding to the office, the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs, so that there is an integration between schools, libraries, and cultural institutions, such as Teatro Gala Hispanic Theater that works with adolescents, and Teatro de la Luna that works with younger children in the schools.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. We're over your time by 1 minute and 30 seconds. So you
Oh my goodness, I have been a very bad girl. I'm so sorry, but I'm really, right. The last thing is to say that Eduardo Perdomo and the team at MOLA is doing an extraordinary job. We are very pleased and we're very thankful and hope that the mayor and this committee would raise their funds so that we can do that integration that I'm talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your kind words and wisdom. We'll move to Ms. Nicole Carago.
Delis. Sorry. Thank you very much. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Well, how are you?
Good.
Good afternoon now.
That's true. That's true. Good afternoon, Chairman White and members of the Committee on Recreation, Libraries, and Youth Affairs. I'm Nicole Quiroga, President and CEO of the Greater Washington Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of my team, I would like to thank the committee for the opportunity to talk about the importance of MOLA's support through the neighborhood-based grants in our community. We are delighted to be a business partner of MOLA, which remains committed to a comprehensive view of community development through its programming, professional staff, capacity building, and training opportunities for the district. The Chamber's partnership with MOLA continues to be an excellent fit with our mission to promote and facilitate the success of Hispanic and other minority-owned businesses and the communities they serve, while we build a more robust business network for the competitive future of the region. The support from the MOLA grant allows the GWHCC Foundation to grow and improve its small business technical assistance program, providing one-on-one business advisory services and seminars to the Latino and minority community. These efforts focus on enhancing the skill set of business owners so they can attain and go beyond their goals of increased revenue, hiring additional employees, and growing and expanding their business. The Chamber's Foundation primary target Latino population and other minority-owned and small businesses that fall under the low to medium income bracket. We will continue to work closely with partner organizations and local DC government agencies such as DCRA, SBA, and SBDC to ensure a broad reach and distribution of services and resources rendered through our program. In addition, the foundation constantly seeks to expand its network to serve our target audience and enhance programs and service offerings, matching the needs and requirements of our community. We work closely with the SBA EIDL program for small businesses. We continue working with Life Assets, LEDC, and WakeF to secure microloans for small businesses. We have collaborated with TD Bank to offer webinars on the pitfalls of the underbanked and unbanked to prepare our businesses for funding. We collaborated with LEDC and Life Asset to provide support for Hispanic women in our Latinas in Action webinar. The GWHCC Foundation hosted a 5-part series for Hispanic women entrepreneurs. The topics were how to use Zoom and Google Documents, marketing and branding, accounting for beginners, access to capital, and business credits and planning. Our foundation hosted a 4-part series on contracting essentials. We teamed with several construction firms like Davis and Clark Construction to offer courses on job costing, QuickBooks, and project estimating. The first 2 sessions drew 197 businesses. The boot camp session on QuickBooks hosted 473 attendees, 194, of whom identified as Latino. From October 2021 to September 2022, we hosted 50 business networking and promotional events, including educational activities such as seminars, webinars, and workshops during the last year, engaging 3,000 businesses and entrepreneurs. The Chamber would like to thank Director Eduardo Perdomo and Mola for implementing a comprehensive view of community development. Your support makes it possible for organizations and service providers like us to be active and meaningful participants in strengthening Washington, D.C. citizens and neighborhood commercial districts. Thank you for your time. It's wonderful to see you, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. And I want to forgive you guys for the timer. We are working through that right now. I thank you guys for coming to share your thoughts and ideas about what's working, what's not working, and what we can do to increase resources for this agency. I did want to note, I heard Ms. Notinius talk about not just resources for Spanish-speaking students or adults, but also other people to learn Spanish. And I think that is needed. I think you noted there are 36 public charters and public schools in a district, and I think we do have to do more to increase that with the growing number of Spanish-speaking Hispanic, the Hispanic population growing in the district. In fact, my daughter, who is 3, goes to LAM, which is a Spanish-speaking public charter school here in the district. So I do agree with that. I'm gonna jump right into this real quick. We have a few questions. I'm gonna try to push through this because we have a lengthy witness list, but I want to make sure I ask a few questions. I want to ask Mr. Sullivan, when you go into the schools and you are presenting authors, one of the things I did notice that even during the pandemic is the achievement gap has widened for students all across the district, and especially those with language barriers. Those authors, how do you choose the authors? And secondly, how do you attack the literacy issue of the gap widening in the district through your services that you provide?
Well, we choose authors by extensive networking, extensive outreach to authors who are writing the kind of books that educators are looking for. You know, all of the work we do is aligned very closely with curricula in the schools. So we're very cognizant of asking educators precisely what sort of narratives they need in their classroom. So we look at the universe of who's available in the DC area, and when we can afford it, we bring authors in from outside of DC to supplement. And we have a few authors who are on their own recognizance come in from outside of DC because they want to support our school system. And so, you know, that's how our program tries to align the curricular needs of students, the curricular needs of educators, and the desire to amplify Latino culture in the schools. So I think that answers one of your questions.
Are they participating for free? And how do you address
we compensate their authors for their participation as well. Yeah, we pay the authors, we buy the books directly from publishers and then donate them to the schools. So nobody's working for free. It's on us.
Got it. And how do you address the I heard you say something to the effect that you are helping graduation rates and literacy rates in the district. How does your organization do that?
So I wouldn't focus on graduation rates or even literacy rates. What we're focused on is providing arts education opportunities where they don't exist in high enough numbers. So we do that personally. We only serve Title I schools. So we only serve where the need is the greatest in DC. We don't go into any non-Title I schools.
And I want to apologize. That was Miss Madrano who said that in her testimony. So Ms. Madrano, can you speak to how do your organization address through the theater and through your work with arts, address the education of the child outside of the arts?
Yeah, absolutely. Through the student matinee programs that we have, we offer them an opportunity to discuss the work, to see it, to participate in conversations. We give them study guides that have relevant cultural information that makes them identify with the story. A lot of them have never seen their stories told on stage, which is one thing that we want to do, because going back to what some of the other colleagues said, DC is the second largest Spanish-speaking city outside in the world. I'm talking the whole world outside of Mexico. Mexico, of course, has a much larger population, but this nation is the second largest Spanish-speaking nation. So there is this tremendous need to serve kids who are bilingual or here. Many of our kids in the after-school program are very new immigrants. Some of them have crossed by themselves, unaccompanied. They go to Cardoza. They fall by the wayside. So we help them, we mentor them. We have mentoring for academic needs, communication skills. They talk about their own experiences. They write about what it means to cross the border. We then let those stories be seen by the wider public. We also work with Galita. We do work with younger kids. Sorry, Jeanette, you said La Luna. Gala also works with small children, not teens in K to 6. We work by doing a bilingual show that sometimes we take into the schools as well, where it's performed in both languages, because kids don't have this problem of translating. They can jump cognitively from one to the other. And finally, during the pandemic, this shows you what the need is. Over 44,000 families and kids logged onto something we had called Leyendo con Galita, which is reading with Galita. These were when parents were at home, when the schools were all virtual. These were books that were read by actors, which enabled us to also employ actors during the pandemic. They were read virtually with illustrations in Spanish, and it provided with activities afterwards. It provided these kids who were at home the opportunity to connect to their cultures, connect to their grandmothers. They're being raised by grandmothers, a lot of them who don't speak any English. So it helps them with that gap. It helps them stay in school and really improve their communication skills. So thank you so much for asking. I know you do quite a bit to benefit all of the families throughout the city, not just in Mount Pleasant where we are, but in Ward 8 and Ward 6 and Ward 7. We have taken shows in there.
Okay.
It's a wonderful. All of what you're doing is in great support. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would love to come out to something you're having. So please send me an invite, get me involved. That'd be helpful to me.
I'll make sure you're welcome anytime.
All right. Thank you. I wanted to ask you, Ms. Daniela Huerta Garcia, for the Volunteers Lawyer Project, what ways are you reaching out to the immigrant community, and how many families have you served?
You're going to stump me on the number. I don't have anything.
Okay.
Right off the bat, I can tell you that the way that we reach out is we do it in many ways. Word of mouth. We're at that point where word of mouth is a great one for us. We also do outreach we have flyers and we give those out our community events that we attend. We also go to events that we have been invited to by MOLA and by Director Perdomo. We also would connect with immigrants there. Now that we're at the library for our Wednesday clinic, we are in a place where people come in for other services, and they also come in to see us. That has increased our intakes for Wednesday for clinic and providing immigration services and also family law services. significantly. We used to be somewhere else in the district, and we'd have maybe 1 or 2 people come in for a clinic. And last week we had 18 people come in to get legal services. So being in locations where our community is, and for us, that's the Mount Pleasant area, the Columbia Heights area, has really increased people coming in for our to see our services. Let me grab you some numbers that we've been seeing so far. So far this quarter, I guess the last 2 quarters, so starting in October of 2022 until today, we have seen 94 people just for consults for clinics when they come in and they get to sit down with a volunteer attorney for an hour to get legal advice. And that's not without count. And out of those 94 clients, we have had 5 limited scope consults, which is what we call them, where we take on clients not for full representation of their case, but for something smaller in their case, a change of venue or a bare bones application, something to sort of save their place in line, since there's a 1-year limit to file your application after you get to this country. We've taken 5 of those cases. And this year, we're actually already over a limit on how many full representation cases we're able to take for the year. And I did mention that also in my testimony about being able to serve and able to take on a lot of cases, but being unable to truly take on a lot of representation, a lot of cases for full representation just for.
All right. I'm gonna jump around real quick. I'm gonna go to Ms. Quiroga.
Hi there.
In what wards do you provide services in? And also, what type of businesses mostly require your services?
Sure. So we're very heavy at Ward 7 and Ward 8, actually. Of course, we serve anyone that needs assistance. So we don't focus on any particular ward. In Adams Morgan, we're very heavy in the higher populated Hispanic areas. And what kind of businesses need our help? You know, obviously the restaurants needed our help more than anything during the pandemic. But we also have businesses that are, you know, it's a one shop, one person running the shop. And so it's professional services like a company with cleaning services, contractors, any different service. What they basically need help with is actually maneuvering through the system to get business in DC. And that is where we really need to help them, because it is, I mean, it's, you know, it's a confusing area, especially if you have a language barrier.
Yeah.
And so if we could, we're always talking, you know, to different agencies to see if we can't streamline those processes, but that's basically what we do every day.
Got it. Thank you. I'm over my time for this particular panel. I want to thank you guys for coming on today, and we will be looking at these as a committee, and we'll be passing on to our other committee members or council members, and we'll be asking questions also to the agency directors. Thank you guys. You always have a wonderful day, and always feel free to reach out to be on my staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now for our next panel, we have Raphael Waldib, Gabriella Mosey from Uptown Community Initiative, Abigail Cushing, Capital Area Immigrants' Rights Coalition, Tatiana Ferreira Ramirez, DC Scores, and Crystal Fleming, Kids in Need of Defense. Kind. While we're elevating everyone to the panel, Mr. Raphael, you can get started.
All right. Thank you, Chairperson White and members of the Committee on Recreation, Libraries, and Youth Affairs for holding this oversight hearing and for giving City Blossoms the opportunity to testify on behalf of the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs, or MOLA. My name is Raphael Woldub, and I'm the Executive Director of City Blossoms. City Blossoms is a community-based nonprofit whose mission is to cultivate the well-being of our communities through creative programming and kid-driven gardens. City Blossoms was founded by two Washington, D.C. natives who grew up in Columbia Heights, Rebecca Lemos Otero and Lola Bloom. Growing up in Columbia Heights, Rebecca and Lola saw that the children and youth from their neighborhood needed more safe, green spaces to play and learn. City Blossoms grew out of Centronia and was only able to take off as its own organization thanks to a small grant from the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs in 2008. Today, in part thanks to MOLA's support over many years, City Blossoms programming impacts over 6,300 children and youth in the district every year. Our budget has grown from less than $50,000 to almost $900,000 over the past 15 years. We are now known nationwide as an expert on garden-based education and equitable green space creation. Our programs provide environmental education, safe and healthy green spaces, fresh food, and opportunities for community development in all 8 wards in DC. The overwhelming majority of the children and youth and families we partner with are from Black, Latino, and immigrant communities and attend early childhood centers and K-12 public schools. All of our programs address the critical need to connect children and youth in urban areas to the natural world, particularly at schools and in neighborhoods that may not otherwise have access to green space or environmental education opportunities. In the past 13 years, the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs has funded 4 out of our 5 programs. We extend our gratitude to MOLA for their support of our Early Growers program in fiscal year 23, which supports our bilingual garden-based programming at 17 early childhood centers throughout DC. In 2016, we began to track participation in our programs with more accuracy, but we estimate that since 2008, funding for MOLA has directly impacted over 4,600 children and youth here in DC. MOLA has been the kind of community partner that allows nonprofits like City Blossoms to create real change. Thank you, Chairperson White and members of the Committee on Recreation, Libraries, and Youth Affairs for this opportunity to testify. Look forward to answering any questions that you all might have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Mosey? She here? Okay, I don't see her. If anyone see her, can you elevate her to the panel? If not, let me know in the chat so I can go to the next person. If you don't see her and she jumps on, let me know. We'll come back to her. Ms. Abigail Cushing. Yep.
Good afternoon, Chairman and all the council members. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to testify on behalf of the immigrant community who is proud to call DC their home. My name is Abigail Cushing, and I'm a managing attorney for the DC Detained Adult Program at Capital Area Immigrant Rights Coalition. We're a nonprofit that provides legal services to detained immigrants facing imminent deportation. IJLS funding allows us to represent DC residents while they're detained by ICE. With our funding this last fiscal year, we exceeded our contract obligations during a pandemic year. Although many people may believe that things are getting better, things are still very, very tough. More immigrants are entering the U.S. fleeing deadly situations. Biden executive orders aimed at helping immigrants are being overturned. ICE is ramping up its efforts to detain people. COVID is still a major problem for people in detention, and immigration prosecutors continue to oppose our DC clients' cases. Over the last several months, the need of immigrant population in DC changed, expanded, and increased in urgency. First, starting in April 2022, border states began busing asylum seekers to the DC area. Many were confused, in need of legal assistance, and basic human needs. CARE Coalition represented a handful of these individuals. Second, our IJLS attorneys and support staff worked tirelessly to continue to support clients with multiple legal matters. Their cases went on at least 2 times longer than normal because of overly zealous prosecutors. Our IJLS attorneys are still representing some clients who have been detained since 2021 and are still fighting their cases in court. Third, ICE is opening new detention centers and reopening old ones. This poses a real threat to family unity. On top of that, just last month, 2 ICE detention facilities went into lockdown as people in the facilities began testing positive for COVID-19 again. Some of our DC clients have extensive medical health issues. This exposes them to a high risk of suffering from severe COVID-19 symptoms and death. We must advocate for their release while we work on their immigration cases. Finally, on September 1st, 2023, Biden's settlement agreement with ICE, which kept detention numbers low during the pandemic, will come to an end. Things will be so much worse for immigrant families in DC, as we will expect to see the numbers of people in ICE custody skyrocket. I am also a member of the DC Values Coalition. This is a group of local nonprofit organizations in DC who serve the immigrant population in a plethora of ways. Just like people in criminal detention depend on reliable post-release support, so do our immigrant clients. After spending months or years in ICE custody, our clients need support with healthcare, getting food, schooling for children, reintegrating into the workforce, and more. Groups like Ayuda, Carecen, Sanctuary DMV, Mary Center, and others are all organizations that the clients we represent depend on after their release from custody, so they may reestablish themselves in the community. This is why we're advocating for an increase of the IJLS funding. Again, we are grateful for the Mayor's Office for providing us with the IJLS grant because it created the possibility for CARE Coalition to help our DC immigrant neighbors fight for their opportunity to live safely in the US. Thank you for this opportunity. We're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Now we will move to Ms. Tatiana Ferrero Herrera. I'm very familiar with you. How are you?
Good, I'm good. How's it going, Chairman White? So my name is Charity Blackwell. I am the Senior Advisor of Arts and Culture for DC Scores, and I'm here to speak on behalf of our Associate Director of Creative Arts, Tatiana Figueredo Ramirez. DC Scores is a nonprofit organization that provides high quality soccer poetry service learning programs during out of school time. We serve more than 3,000 kids across the district at no cost for our children or our families. In 2022 was the first calendar year of full in-person programming at DC Scores since the beginning of COVID-19 lockdown. For example, in November, we hosted our first in-person poetry slam after 2 years of virtual competitions. The slams featured performances from more than 1,300 students, and many of them were Latinx poet athletes. They used the opportunity to celebrate their communities and their identities. They shared poems in Spanish that celebrated the joys of being on a team with friends, their love for their hometown, their desire to make good things happen in their neighborhoods and around the world. This year's Westside Poetry Slam was opened by Eduardo Perdomo, Director of MOLA. We would like to thank you again, Mr. Perdomo, and the entire MOLA office for their fantastic support at our events over the last year. MOLA increased our grant this year, enabling us to support even more Latinx children, particularly in Ward 1, 7, and 8. MOLA's funding enables us to provide resources in Spanish, ensuring that our website, event invitation, our family surveys, our communications are all accessible to Latinx families. With MOLA's support, we are making sure that language isn't a barrier to Latinx families being able to take an active role in our programs. This investment in our Latinx families is paying off. Children's ability to write and perform in Spanish increases their sense of self-worth. Increasing numbers of our soccer coaches are using Spanish instructions, making our soccer programming inclusive to even more students. Our coaches report that these practices are especially supporting some of our most vulnerable communities. For example, Coach Fabiana Duarte, a DC Scores coach at Seton Elementary School, says that using Spanish in her coaching has made her DC Scores team community hub for children who are newly arriving to DC from other countries such as Central and South America. Using these children's first language, she says, makes them feel appreciated and valuable, gives them confidence. Through MOLA's powerful support, our programs are showing Latinx families in DC that they are welcome, that their children's cultural identities are valued, that they are an important part of Washington community. Perhaps the best way to share the impact with you is through some poetry by Isabel, DC Scores poet athlete that attends Lucky Education Campus in Ward 8. The title of this poem is called I'm Puerto Rican. I'm not Puerto Rican, but this is Isabel's poem for you. All right. Hello, my name is Isabel Perez. Hola, me llamo Elizabeth Perez. That is my name in Espanol. I like to run, ride my bike, and play soccer. Most importantly, I'd like you to know that I am Puerto Rican. My culture is very unique. We eat rice, plantanos, and gondola beans. My parents drink a lot of cafe. We love to dance to La Bamba. Jennifer Lopez, Mark Anthony, and Bruno Mars are Puerto Rican like me. I love my culture because it makes me feel special. My name is Isabel Perez. I love my family, my friends, but most importantly, I want you to know that I am Puerto Rican. Thank you, Chairman White.
Thank you. I have to go out and meet this lovely young lady.
Come through.
Her school is actually right around the corner from my house. So, yeah.
Oh, that's what's up.
Moving to Crystal Fleming.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Crystal Fleming, and I'm the managing attorney for the Washington, D.C. Office of Kids in Need of Defense, also known as KIND, which provides free legal and social services for unaccompanied children and youth who arrive alone to the United States. KIND has received IGLS funding since its inception in 2017. We respectfully request that DC Council increase IGLS funding from $3.5 million to $5 million for the fiscal year 2024 budget and provide multi-year contracts for organizations. Most unaccompanied children are released from federal custody to family members and sponsors in the community. Per capita, the DC metro area is one of the top 3 destinations receiving unaccompanied children. 421 unaccompanied children were released in DC in 2022. IGLS funding allows us to provide critical services to older adolescent youth like 17-year-old Maria. Because Maria is about to turn 18 in 2 months and may age out of eligibility to apply for special immigrant juvenile status, which is a humanitarian immigration benefit in DC courts, her case has been very difficult to find a pro bono attorney, let alone a private attorney. Thanks to caring staff at Cardozo High School, who KIND continuously works with, KIND was able to receive Maria's referral and take her case with IGLS funding. KIND's expert legal team immediately filed papers with DC Superior Court and now continues to fight her deportation case. Unaccompanied children like Maria are not guaranteed an immigration attorney under the government's expense. Statistics show that without an attorney, Maria is 100 times more likely to lose out of a pathway to citizenship. Multi-year contracts are vital because cases like Maria take anywhere from 2 to 5 years to complete, due to delays arising from past anti-immigrant policies as well as massive court backlogs. If Maria wins immigration status, she'll be eligible for federal benefits, in particular, educational financial aid, which will allow her to continue to pursue higher education. Maria's story is a snapshot of the importance of IGLS funding and DC's dedication to supporting all children that reside here. IGLS funding helps ensure unaccompanied children and youth in DC do not fall through the cracks and are able to achieve their dreams and realize their opportunities. I'm grateful for the council's dedication in ensuring that all children can thrive in DC. We ask that the council increase IGLS funding to $5 million for fiscal year 2024 and provide a multi-year contract to allow us to continue to fight this critical work. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll jump back around a little bit. I'm gonna start with, we got Ms. Cushing. I wanted to know from you, what would you say is the average amount of time immigrants spend in custody? I think I heard you talk about in your testimony that you all are still aiding people who were detained in 2021. Is that correct? If you could speak to about how much time we're seeing this happening with immigrants coming.
So, we have had cases where clients are still detained from 2021. We have one of the cases where they're fighting their case. Usually a case in removal proceedings for a detained person is very different from a non-detained, but our program works with detained clients, and we'll see clients detained for 6 months. If they're unsuccessful with their case and it has to go on appeal, it could be a year. while their case is pending. Sometimes that involves going into an appeal and then going back down to the lower court for a review. And that could be an additional few months.
In general, where and what kind of housing do you all help with upon release, if any?
Well, unfortunately, we don't receive any funding from DC, and this is something we're advocating for, and we desperately need funding so that we can have post-release plans for our clients. We at Care Coalition try to secure funding from other sources so that we can provide our clients with post-release plans so that they, upon release, may reintegrate into the community. But this is something that is still desperately needed, and any funding would be greatly appreciated.
Great. We'll take that into consideration come budget time. And I know we've had a plethora of buses coming from border states to the district. And we've been getting, I guess, some type of reports, but not as detailed as I would like. Do you know how many have come to the district over the, I guess, the last 2 years? I can remember on those in these buses.
I don't have the numbers on the amounts that have been bused into DC, unfortunately, but it is a considerable amount, and they are continuing to come in to the DC area.
Got it. Ms. Fleming, did you have something to add to that?
I focus on unaccompanied children. So the ones who have been bused are not unaccompanied. So we don't track those numbers.
Okay. Yeah, concerned about their care. I want to jump to Ms. Blackwell's real quick. Is there any direct connection or relationship between DC scores and DPR, and how's that? And if so, what's the working relationship with that?
Yes, DC Scores does work with multiple DPR sites. They help us book soccer spaces for our kids to play games as well as practicing. And we've had a partnership with them for multiple years now. And they've been extremely helpful for providing us with spaces for our kids to be able to play soccer. As you know, there are limited spaces across DC for our kids to be able to play, and the cost is pretty costly. And so DPR has been a great partner helping us to be able to have those spaces.
Okay, what are you, do you know off the top of your head what recreation centers or are you using, especially with the fields?
I don't know off the top. I'm in the poetry section of our organization, so I'm
No
not too
stress.
familiar with the fields and stuff. I'm just trying.
Okay.
I do know that we did have a deep partnership with DPR though.
Got it. I want to ask you, Ms. Fleming, you said that 421 unaccompanied children were released in the district in 2022.
Yes.
Do you have an idea of how many were not released and where they are housed?
So when we're talking about release, the children, after they cross the border, they are transferred to the Office of Refugee Resettlement. The ones that have been released to DC are the ones where they have a family member that resides inside of DC. So the mission is to try and locate a family member. So I'm not familiar as to which ones are not released, because the mission is to always have the children released. They're always trying to identify a family member in anywhere in the United States that they can release the child to. So I don't keep track of the statistics of non-released. For the DC area, we definitely know that more than 400 are released here, and they're living with caretakers, family members, or family friends.
Gotcha. And I did get the note that over 9,000 has been bused here. And we got
That is correct. Those were the amounts you were asking for. I was able to get it from our team. So it's about 9,000 that have been bused to DC from the border.
And I know there's been a lot of controversy around DC giving immigrants the right to participate in this democracy with voting. And I know that's going to go before the Hill. I believe today, we sent the letter today to the Hill about supporting immigrants coming to the district. I know that other members have been doing press conferences all morning about that as well. I wanted to know, that anybody have any thoughts or ideas as relates to those policies and giving those immigrants more opportunity to participate in the democratic process? Okay. Guess not. Okay. I'm gonna jump around for a bit. To let's see this. To Ms. Fleming, once again, I'm sorry. In addition to legal issues, can you detail how difficult it is for unaccompanied minors to get enrolled in school? And if so, what are some of those barriers?
Yes, so we have a social services aspect to our nonprofit that is their main focus is to have the children enrolled in school. The biggest barriers comes down to legal documents that establish that the child, technically, most of the children that come here, they're not being reunited with their parents. So oftentimes we have to go through a custody procedure to get the children for their aunt to become their new custodian and establish and be able to enroll the children. So that can be a big barrier when the children don't have an actual custodian living with them. So we often come into play and get the children custody assigned to their aunt or family member, and then facilitate the process of enrolling the child. We often have a very close relationship with Cardozo High School and the Next Step Charter School. So that has also helped us facilitate the process of getting the children enrolled in school.
I want to work with you and your office and any other advocates and trying to use my platform to decrease any barriers to ensure that these students get access to education, because that's critical to creating a foundation for them to be successful.
Absolutely.
So I just text my staff. Hopefully they got it, and they'll be reaching out soon.
Thank you.
How we can use the legislative branch to be helpful, not just with policy and laws, but also with budget.
We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
I apologize for trying to find out my questions for you, Mr. O'D, but I can't seem to find them. We're having some IT issues today. They are in my office and downstairs. I see Ms. Cushing would like to speak on voting. We're working through some technical difficulties. Go ahead. I have a minute and something.
I think one of the reasons why probably, some of those that advocate for immigrant rights and work with immigrants didn't speak about the voting issue is because there's a lot of confusion about this, because voting can be a deportable offense that can negatively impact immigrants in the United States. But we do advocate for them being able to be a part of voting decisions in school boards and other areas where they can have a say and advocate for themselves.
Got it. Well, Dave, do you have anything you want to add? Not on that topic, but anything in particular, because I know I gave other people more time.
I appreciate that. All critical issues we're all working on. I'm happy to answer a similar question that you asked, Tatiana, around your DC Scores partnership with DPR Spaces. City Blossoms has truly benefited from our partnership with DPR. We are at multiple recreation centers. One of our original gardens is at the Columbia Heights Recreation Center. We are at Fort Stanton Rec Center in your ward, Mr. Chairperson White, and but I'll briefly just share what's really helpful about our partnerships at recreation centers is that for our partners at schools that we're starting to build relationships with and starting to create green space at, if they don't have that green space at that garden just yet, we're actually able to use our gardens and green spaces that we've created at DPR sites to host field trips and to host sort of nature-based programming with schools and community partners in the area. So we're greatly beneficial for that partnership as well. And we actually, I think we've partnered with DC Scores one time at the Columbia Heights Recreation Center as well. So shout out to them.
Thank you so much. And I'm happy to explore even what you said, Ms. Cushing, about it being voting being deplorable, the portable offense. We're going to look into that.
Yes, and we want, our clients and immigrants in DC not to get confused and to be aware about this, because sometimes people are registered to vote and this can cause an issue for them later on as they're trying to get status in the United States or become citizens.
Got it. All right, guys, I'm over my time for this panel. I want to thank you guys for your advocacy. We look forward to working with you and using this information to better District of Columbia services to our Latina speaking population. Thank you. For our next panel will be Mia Gaskins, Jubilee Housing. Maya. Haley Wiggins, Family Place. Christine Perez Jimenez, National Hispanic Council on Aging. Phyllis Houghton, Quality Trust for Individuals with Disabilities. Rustin Lewis, Communities and Schools. And we'll start with you, Ms. Gaskins, Jubilee Housing. Is she here? Okay, I don't see her yet. Gabriella Mosey, were you able to join us? If so, we will elevate you.
To a panelist.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, hear you perfect.
All right, great. Hi there again. This is my second time coming before you, Councilmember White. I just want to thank you for your time again. And also thank you to any members of the committee that are also present. My name is Maya Gaskins. I'm the Director of Resident Services here for Jubilee Housing. We just want to thank you for the opportunity to testify again. And we really want to talk today about the critical need for increased investment in supporting our Latino community members. Few investments offer greater long-term impact for inclusion and equity than affordable housing development. And for residents and families whose income is at or below 30% of the area median income, the availability of housing affordable at their income level is even more critical and could be the last barrier before homelessness. As the city embarks on a critical review of our new legislation through a racial equity lens, we really think it's important that the strategies to ensure that our low income and BIPOC residents have access to affordable housing and are some of the most important strategies to address racial equity. Jubilee Housing itself, we are going into our 50th year. We were founded in 1973. We currently operate 10 deeply affordable housing properties in the now thriving resource-rich neighborhoods of Adams Morgan, Columbia Heights, and Mount Pleasant. One of the issues in these neighborhoods, there's some gentrification that threatens to displace countless long-term residents. And we've come to understand that our work is justice housing, which includes three main pillars of being deeply affordable and thriving neighborhoods, and then us also offering supportive services on site and within walking distance. We provide three main areas of supportive services to our residents. One of those is family services, and this would include comprehensive support for individuals, families, and vulnerable populations such as seniors, aging in place. We have youth services program where we offer quality K-12 free after school and summer camp programming for working families. And we also have reentry housing services providing safe, stable, and supportive transitional housing for returning citizens after incarceration. Our department that I lead provides assistance to residents to maintain stabilization of the housing that they receive. We assist with things like resource navigation, case management, wraparound services. We do a lot of community-wide events, such as senior and parent and other affinity workshops, vaccination clinics, back to school events, cultural celebrations. Residents of Jubilee Housing include a significant monolingual Spanish-speaking population. We're dedicated to language justice here at Jubilee Housing, and by ensuring Spanish-speaking residents are able to participate in all of our activities. They're able to access a wide range of services and feel a sense of belonging to the overall Jubilee community. The needs of those we serve made it apparent that support for interpretive services would only sufficiently be met if we added bilingual staff. So since our previous year's testimony, I'm proud to report that we were committed to hiring 2 additional Spanish-speaking staff, and we're able to accomplish that. Currently, our resident services staff are now 60% bilingual Spanish-speaking and English-speaking. The Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs, they've supported our resident services economic stability work with Latino residents since 2016, which we're really grateful for, and is one of the few funders that has supported our work to provide language justice to our residents. Through the current MOLA grant, Jubilee Housing is providing financial stabilization services such as eviction prevention, applications for benefits and entitlements, resource navigation for other social programs. Our latest effort in the area of financial empowerment, which we're just kicking off this past week and we're really excited about, is we're bringing a rent reporting initiative designed to increase FICO scores. And so in addition to individual case management with our senior residents, we've also worked diligently on maintaining a monthly food bank where at least 50 seniors a month are provided with a food box. One of our primary objectives is to prioritize stable family housing and affordable homes in these resource-rich neighborhoods. That's really important. The support of MOLA has been substantial, and we're really grateful for that. But I don't think anybody would be surprised to know that the needs of our residents and our neighbors who also seek support are greater than the resources available to us. So we're proud to say that we were able to meet our MOLA outcomes last year by the 3rd quarter of the year. So anything that we got out of that was just exceeding the outcomes that we had set. So last fall, an update since last year, we actually acquired 3 new properties through the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act. Through those meetings with the tenant associations during the past year, we learned that about 75% of the 160 new residents are from Central America, and many only speak Spanish. In preparation for purchase of the buildings, our resident service team had to meet with many of the residents, assist them in understanding the change in ownership, the benefits that Jubilee offers, assure them of our commitment to provide bilingual services to these new residents and members of the Jubilee family. Since purchasing the buildings, we've been providing outreach to the residents, and we've decided that we're going to have to establish a satellite office at those Mount Pleasant locations. So that we know for our residents to fully feel included in the Jubilee community, as well as the wider community, an increased commitment to supporting language justice is obviously essential. We appreciate the support that MOLA has provided for us at this point, and we hope to continue to be considered for further support in the future. And so I just want to thank you for giving us a couple of minutes to give you an update on how we're doing and the exciting things happening over here at Jubilee Housing, and for just the ongoing commitment to the Latino community in our city who rely on many critical programs funded by MOLA. Jubilee Housing affirms the importance of these programs and our programs specifically, and we just urge you to consider increasing those funds that support these kinds of initiatives and continue to provide additional supports for the broader Latino community. And thank you for my time today.
Thank you. I appreciate your work and that Jubilee Housing has been doing in the district that so many brag and talk about. I do want to thank you for that. We're going to jump right ahead to Christine Perez Jimenez, National Hispanic Council on Aging.
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to the Committee on Recreation, Libraries, and Youth Affairs and the DC Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs for the invitation to speak at today's hearing. Today, I'm speaking on behalf of the National Hispanic Council on Aging, or NACOA for short, the leading national organization working to improve the lives of Hispanic older adults, their families, and caregivers. We're headquarters in Washington, D.C., and we have been a strong voice dedicated to advocating for research, policy, and practice in the areas of economic security, health, and housing for over 50 years. So Latino communities face many critical challenges, including isolation from services, economic insecurity, substandard and expensive housing, health and educational achievement disparities, nutrition insufficiency, food insecurity, and mental health issues. Many of these needs were exacerbated during the COVID-19 pandemic, where supply chain shortage, we encounter supply chain shortage and inflation that has wreaked havoc on the country for the last several years. So we are known for our ability to reach and serve Latino communities in linguistically, culturally, and age-appropriate manners. And by the way, by bridging gaps in language, culture, formal education, and age. So basically, our office is located at Casa Iris, which is a low-income housing facility for people aged 65 years and older. And we are located at the heart of the District of Columbia. So for the last 2 years, we have received funding from the Latino Community Development Grant from the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs. And this allows us to continue with our Conector Comunitario, or also known as the Social Connector Program. So basically, this program connects Latino older adults to programs and services here in the district by utilizing our community connectors, which are NACOA staff members that connect Latino older adults to social services and assist in navigating the process of applying for those services to meet their everyday health and also their wellness needs. So this program allows us to continue providing charlas, or also known as educational sessions, that focus on physical activity and nutrition, as well as mental health and wellness at our housing facility, where everyone is welcome to join us. So we also added support for the Casa Iris Community Garden that allows Hispanic older adults to put into action what they're learning in the nutrition charlas, and also allows them to be active. So this gives seniors the opportunity to harvest vegetables and learn to take care of the garden, while also giving them an occasion to spend time with a group, and by the way, by avoiding social isolation. So very quickly, today I want to share some testimonies from seniors that joined one of our in-person mental health sessions several weeks ago. And this activity was attended by over 15 seniors who had the opportunity to learn about what mental health is, the importance it has in old age, and certain strategies that help achieve emotional and mental health, well-being. So this activity provided an opportunity for a dynamic conversation where seniors felt comfortable in speaking and asking questions. So they shared personal experiences, which allowed them to resolve different doubts about mental health. And a few of the comments that the participants shared with us were like, now I understand that going to the psychologist is not for crazy people. It means prevention, and it avoids being sick of the mind. While another participant highlighted that their mental health is fine and they just wanted to improve it by exercising the memory. And finally, another participant highlighted that I realized that taking care of my mental health is just as important as taking care of my physical health. So again, this year we have continued our social connector program and strive to help achieve a greater health and wellness for Washington, D.C. Latinos. And based on our work, we know there is a huge disparity in access to social services, mental health services, and physical activities among older adults. So funding from the DC Office on Latino Affairs help us to assist older adults with accessing the services to meet their needs. Again, together we can make it possible. And finally, once again, we remain committed to working with older adults to help them age with dignity and in the best possible health. Gracias. Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you. Moving right along to Phyllis Houghton, Quality Trust for Individuals with Disabilities. I don't see Houghton. Gabriella Mosi.
Yes, I am here. Let me start. Thank you. Oh, wonderful. I'm so sorry that I could not be here earlier. I was listening in, but we had a bit of a technical issue. But let me get started. Let me be brief in the interest of time. Council Member White, thank you very much for this opportunity. I want to thank other members of the committee as well, if they will be watching this later. My name is Gabriela Mossi, and I am the Executive Director of Uptown Community Initiative. And we are a community-based commercial revitalization organization. And we work on various commercial corridors in Ward 4. That includes Upper 14th, Kennedy Street Northwest, Georgia Avenue, Upshur Street. And we also run 2 Main Street programs. So again, on behalf of our volunteers, our board, and especially our small businesses, we want to thank MOLA for the grant that they gave us for fiscal year 2022. With this grant, we can provide support to our minority-owned business community. And this funding is crucial, especially crucial last year when we were still, and we are still trying to get out of the economic hardships of the pandemic. Now we're dealing with inflation, staff shortages, and of course, loss of income. So in fiscal year 22, our organization, Uptown Community Initiative, served over 225 small businesses. Of these businesses, between 27 and 29% are Latino owned. And with this funding, we started with a monthly newsletter. We now have a monthly newsletter and technical assistance for access to help people access capital, help people access loans, grants, help improve their promotion of their business, operations of their business, compliance with government regulations, and of course, we want to help them increase sales. And with MOLA support, we started with a monthly newsletter. Now we have a weekly bilingual newsletter. And this newsletter helps them reach all those opportunities that are out there by the federal government, the local government, our own opportunities, trainings, alerts, and other important information. So we are very proud to say that we have between 50 and 60% open rate for this newsletter. It's usually not the usual for an email. Some of you out there sending out emails. We also target businesses one-on-one. Our target in the past year was to target 50. We targeted actually 64. We work with them one-on-one to help them with all these different business operational issues. We're happy to say that 16 of them actually won grants, some of them including the Great Streets Grant, the Robust Retail Grant, the Small Business Growth Fund, and other grants that were available from the federal and local DC government. We also were able to help with the MOLA funding to promote the corridors and do positive activities to help bring people out. So that includes, we do an annual Cinco de Mayo celebration. We celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. We celebrate Ardell Night, Dia de los Muertos. And during the holidays, we participate in something called Holiday Lights. And we also have our own Santa who comes to Petworth. And we bring in about 500 families for that event.
Got it. You're a little over your time. If you can do final remarks, it'll be.
That is it.
All right.
That
So
was it for
perfect.
me. Thank
Perfect
you very
timing.
much.
All
That's it.
right. Thank you so much. We have one more. Rustin Lewis.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chairman White. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of MOLA today. Communities in Schools was established in DC in 2004. Our mission is to support students with a community of support, empowering them to stay in school and achieve in life. We are serving 10 DC public schools throughout the city by providing case management services, home visits, and family engagement, activities that support social emotional learning and address mental health supports. We achieve this by placing full-time site coordinators in our partnering schools, which include Kramer, Stanton, Cardozo Education Campus, Stewart Hobson, Eastern, H.D. Woodson, Kelly Miller, Burrville, Brooklyn, and J.O. Wilson. This year, we're serving 3,700 students and case managing nearly 400 students. We believe that programs don't change people, relationships do. Take, for example, a fifth grade student who participates in CIS. The student was assigned to our site coordinator, Ms. Smith, back in 2019. At that time, the student was experiencing hardship at home and in school. As the brother of 5 siblings, he found himself moving from place to place after his father was incarcerated for 30 years. This instability of his personal life overflowed and resulted in him being disinterested in schoolwork and disrespectful to authority figures. During the 2001-2002 school year, he was absent nearly half of the school year. Over time, site coordinator Smith had weekly lunch meetings and check-ins with the student. During their check-ins, they developed a trusting relationship, established goals, discovered his love of soccer, and wrote an action plan to help him achieve his goals. Site coordinator Smith, who has an open heart and genuine concern for his success, was conscientious to be responsive, accessible, and to always deliver when possible. With a plan and a caring coordinator, the student's social emotional skills and grades drastically improved. Currently, he is outperforming all of his peers and all assignments and assessments. He is one of the first students to show up at school, and this year, he is the captain of his soccer team. Again, we believe in the value of relationships, and that's just one example of how our site coordinators provide that. Our student breakdown is 93% of our students are African American, and 6% are Hispanic, 58% are male, 42% are female. I want to thank Director Perdomo and the MOLA staff for their continued support of CIS. Their support allows us to have a full-time case site coordinator at Cardozo Education Campus. Councilman, I welcome you to visit our program and ask that you continue to invest in the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm familiar with community and schools, mostly through Mr. Gunther. Is he still with you guys?
He's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know early on, I used to see him a lot of times in schools and amongst other staff, I think at Hart Middle School, doing phenomenal work.
Yes, we were at Hart for quite a while.
Yep. So I do know about your work. I want to ask Ms. Mosey and I want to thank you guys for testifying. We are in some time constraints, so you'll see me speeding up a little bit. I'm getting pinged by my staff, but I do want to ask Ms. Mosey a question about the businesses. I think you said my staff noted that between 27 and 29% of business in Ward 4 are Latino owned. Do you know if that number has increased or decreased during the pandemic? Because we are concerned about the business.
Right, the businesses. Yeah, that is a very good question. Those are the corridor, those are the percentages for our particular corridor, not for all of Ward 5. I want to say that the neighborhood, so you have an idea where we work, is maybe half of the ward, not the whole ward, because it's Petworth, 16th Street Heights, Brightwood, part of Brightwood Park, and a part of Manor Park, but we don't include Tacoma or all of the part on the right on the border with Maryland. We don't do that very upper part. But I would say it's probably around, it would say easily 25 if we do the entire ward. And did we reduce the number of business-owned Latino, did they come down a little bit? Unfortunately, we had from the folks that we work with, we lost 4 businesses last year. 4 Latino-owned businesses closed on our corridor. Again, we did pretty well.
Can you help me? What type of businesses were those?
Restaurant, food-based businesses.
Yep.
And one, what you would say, a bodega.
Okay.
Right. So in percentages, we were able to maintain open, in operation, maintain an operation 80%, because we were tracking the numbers out of all the folks that we were tracking on our corridors. But we we did lose some, and some are teetering. What can I tell you? We are trying still to help some folks. Sales, and this is a very tough time of year right now, folks. Please shop local. Please go out there and shop local, because January is tough and February is a cold month, not great for sales either. We need people to shop local. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm gonna jump to Ms. Gaskins, Jubilee Housing. She's still here. There we go.
Yes, I'm still here.
All right. Are you primarily working in the Adams Morgan, Mount Pleasant area?
Yeah, and Columbia Heights. So we're across those three neighborhoods in Ward 1.
Got it. In your opinion, as we see the growing number of Hispanic speaking residents in the district, how can the government be more helpful in addressing the affordable housing crisis and needs in those areas and other areas throughout the city? We're seeing a number of Spanish speaking residents and Ward 8 growing as well. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that one of the things that I can speak to that we have observed is realizing that we have to make sure that we can accommodate that the application process is welcoming to those that are bilingual Spanish speaking, that in order to be able to understand the application process, that there are staff that can support that, because really it's an access issue. It's one thing for there to be limited amount of housing. It's another thing for those that need to be able to access the services to be able to do so in a way where they're able to be timely and just as competitive as anyone else, understanding what the process is. So a lot of times, there have been many times where programs come across our desk and we'll reach back out to the organization saying, do you have this flyer in Spanish about this initiative? Do you have this information in Spanish? And we wind up having to translate the documents for our own residents, but we don't know if that's necessarily the case across the board in the services that people are trying to access. So sometimes it's just a matter of the language justice piece of it, making sure that people are able to have a fair shot at being able to complete the process, understand the process, and do so in a way that respects their primary language. And a lot of times we ourselves are always trying to make sure that we can do that, but we can't imagine what it would be like to try to access those things without those support.
Thank you.
First thought.
I always see a correlation between housing and healthcare services. Do you see any barriers in housing correlating with the healthcare services in the district as well?
I would say that one of the things that we've done to bridge that, because we've seen that as well, is having opportunities and partnerships that will bring it to residents. Because, we noticed that there are a lot of times that we had originally a few years ago during the pandemic, we had like really low vaccination rates, for instance. So us partnering with DC Health to bring the vaccination clinics on site really had an impact on our numbers. So a lot of it is like accessibility, because us kind of fostering, using our relationship with residents to bring opportunities to them is different than sending them out to go find services or go outreach to services. So kind of having that more accessibility to where you can bring things to the residents was something that we have strategized to see an increase in access to health initiatives. And, so we have some initiatives heading towards us where we're bringing on-site colon screening event, HIV testing event, like breast cancer screening, bringing it to the neighborhood, because sometimes it's the access and a trust issue. Sometimes going to, not knowing how friendly certain environments may be are a little bit more intimidating, but bringing it to the neighborhood, we see a great response from families when we bring things to them. So sometimes it's kind of like that grassroots being willing to go to where the people are to serve them.
So I do know that Jackie Reyes has participated in this hearing and listening in. So we want to figure out how we can work with our executive branch as well to figure out how we can partner to create more bridges for people to get access to housing, affordable housing, deeply affordable housing, because affordable housing means different things to different people, and quality healthcare services. I know Ms. Perez Jimenez, you work with our seniors who may also have access or lack of access to healthcare. Can you enlighten us if you see that happening with seniors in any capacity in the district?
Thank you, Chairman. Absolutely. So basically in our program, Social Connected program, we have seen a lot of challenges for seniors to navigate through the healthcare process. And mainly they come to us to help them with translating like some documents, like documents they received from their health insurance or also from some social and health programs here in the district. Again, with the pandemic, we had a lot of people by then, a lot of the city was in lockdown, and it was very difficult for them to go out. They experienced lack of transportation, for example. So we had some NECOA staff and volunteers to actually do their groceries for them and deliver it to them. And for the COVID-19 vaccines, we had a lot of challenges, but fortunately, we partner with DC MOLA and also with some local pharmacists here in the district that provided the vaccinations into the facility, into their homes here at Casa Iris Housing Facility in DC.
Got it. Thank you so much. Sophia, did we have Ms. Holton giving a question or comment?
Yeah, I reached out to Ms. Holton and haven't received a response.
Okay. I only have 13 seconds left. Thank you guys to this panel. We look forward to working with you guys. We're going to move to our next panel for sake of time. Thank you guys. Be blessed. Next, we have Heidi Powell and Open Book Foundation, Rebecca Chavez, Fresh Farm, Maria Fernanda Borja, Latino Student Fund, Paige Jordan, Ayunda, and Robin Griffin from the Legal Counsel for the Elderly. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you guys for your patience. I know you guys have been waiting for quite some time. We started this hearing about 2 hours ago, so we know that it's important to you that you stayed during this time to speak at these hearings. We're thankful that we have access to do these hearings remotely now, because some have wanted to speak when we had a lot of in-person, which we do in person still, but unable to because of time constraints, jobs, and other responsibilities. So we want to thank those who have been patient with us and staying throughout this hearing. You're going to start with Heidi Powell.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chairperson White. Thank you for the opportunity to present this afternoon. My name is Heidi Powell, and I am a co-founding director of an Open Book Foundation located at 5th and Kennedy Streets in Ward 4. AOB is a children's literacy nonprofit organization connecting DC area students in Title I schools to authors, illustrators, and their books to nurture a lifelong love of reading. We support educational justice by building equitable access to interactive literacy enrichment and high-quality books. Since 2010, we've offered our flagship author and illustrator program, which brings award-winning children's and teens authors and illustrators into classrooms. Today, we offer a variety of literacy and enrichment programs. Each year, we serve more than 11,000 students in the DC metro area and distribute over 13,000 books. At the end of every event, participating students receive a signed copy of the featured book, and additional copies are added to the classroom collections and school libraries. An Open Book partners with Title I schools in wards 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Events reach across all grade levels and genres. For example, last week, DC native and author Nick Brooks visited H.D. Woodson High School in Ward 7, Eastern High School in Ward 6, with his new young adult mystery, Promise Boys. Authors Alec Commanda and George Redmond shared the joyful Black Boy with the first graders at Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School in Ward 8. One of the programs we offer is our new and emerging Artists of Color program, which amplifies up-and-coming BIPOC creative voices. Teachers are happy that authors and illustrators share their process, often reinforcing the importance of editing, character development, and point of view. Authors share their inspiration, their path to being published, and the challenges they faced and surmounted to succeed. After participating in our new and emerging Artists of Color program, 60% of students say they can see themselves being an author. For the past 2 years, we have received grants from the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs in support of this program, specifically to promote new and emerging Latinx voices. We provide bilingual programming depending on the author, school, and student population. If the featured book is available in English and Spanish, we typically purchase both versions for classrooms and libraries, and we tailor our student book order based on the recommendations of the teacher. Next month, we'll welcome Adriana Hernandez Bergstrom with her picture book, Abuelita and I Make Flan, and we'll also host a second author event before the end of the school year. We're grateful for the support of the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs. Their staff has been conscientious and responsive. It's clear they care deeply about DC's Latinx community. We support increased funding for the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs and also support streamlining the application and grant management process to allow office staff to spend more time serving the community and less time managing paperwork. In the fall, AOB responded to a request from the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs to provide urgently needed programming for newly arrived students and their families who had been bused to DC from southern border states. We solicited donors and arranged for after-school events at partner schools Langdon Elementary and Wheatley Education Campus. Local author Terry Katassis Jennings' Spanglish language presentation connected students and their families as she shared her book, Little House of Hope, La Casita de Esperanza, a semi-autobiographical account of her arrival and subsequent experiences as she acclimated to life in the US. Our commitment to supporting all students with author visits and books, whether silly, serious, or joyful, is steadfast. Thank you to the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs for supporting this mission. Thank you, Chairman White, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and please join us anytime on any of our events.
Thank you. Please send an invite to my chief of staff or my scheduler, and we'll be sure to be in attendance and participate. Thank you. Rebecca Chavez, Fresh Farm.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for this opportunity to testify in support of the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs. My name is Rebecca Chavez. I'm the Director of Agricultural Programs for Fresh Farm. We manage a regional network of farmers markets, which includes 15 markets within the District of Columbia, and we operate a food hub that supplies local produce to community-based organizations. We run a portfolio of incentives and food distribution programs to tackle the barriers that keep historically underserved district residents from getting the same access to food as their wealthier peers. Fresh Farm represents thousands of Latino DC residents who visit our markets to spend their nutrition benefits. Our shoppers take advantage of Produce Plus and our Fresh Match incentive program, which provides a dollar-for-dollar match on all federal benefits spent at market, which helps shoppers take home more fresh produce and nutritious foods. Our partnership with the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs has been instrumental in making this possible. To understand the value of our programs to the Latino community, it's essential to highlight a few key takeaways from the Capital Area Food Bank's 2022 Hunger Report. One, food insecurity is a critical issue that affects the well-being of our city. Over 1/3 of survey respondents reported experiencing food-related hardships just in the last year. So we're talking about folks that have a lack of consistent access to enough food, lead an active, healthy life. Food insecurity has really unequal impacts on communities of color. So among residents in the DMV region, among those who identified as Hispanic, 55% experienced food insecurity, and among those who identify as Black, 50% experienced food insecurity in the last year, and this is compared to 13% of those who identify as white. And then, as many of my colleagues have also mentioned during this time, the pandemic has really impacted the earning power of vulnerable households, particularly food insecure households. It continues to do so. So among adults that are food insecure, over half said that their household income is lower now than it was in March 2020. compared to food secure adults was more like 18%. So we're really seeing an unequal impact among people who are hungry, who don't have access to food. Thanks to MOLA's Latino community grants, our programs have become a vital part of the community's social safety net by providing access to fresh and local food. For residents who aren't eligible for federal food programs, such as immigrants and seniors, the benefits of our markets are really the only food assistance that helps them bring healthy food to their table. So I see that I'm short on time. I just want to say, thank you so much to MOLA. We've been able to fund bilingual staff and an infrastructure that allows us to offer hundreds of thousands of dollars, over the years in incentives and food vouchers to Latino residents. And we also are always seeking to work with community-based organizations in the district and help them understand how their mission and their scope of work is served by incorporating fresh food into the work that they're doing. So we partner with a lot of, when we receive support from MOLA, it's not only our organization that's benefiting, but we're partnering with other organizations to help them serve the populations that they're working with. So a lot of thanks to the committee for this opportunity to testify and to MOLA for their support.
Thank you so much. I'm moving right along. We will have Ms. Maria Fernanda.
Yes. Good afternoon, Chairman White and all the council members. My name is Maria Fernanda Borja. I am the president and CEO of the Latino Student Fund. The Latino Student Fund was founded in 1994 to address disparities in access to education for Hispanic students in Washington, D.C., and has since served more than 4,000 youth across its programs. The organization provides year-round out-of-the-school time programs for low-income, at-risk students and their families with the goal of increasing levels of educational attainment in the community. The Mayor Office on Latino Affairs partnership with the LSF has been instrumental in the sustainability and growth of our services. MOLA's continued support has allowed the LSF to significantly increase the efficacy and accelerate the social impact of our programs. The LSF has nearly 20 years of experience providing cultural and linguistical appropriate educational out-of-school time programs and informational outreach services for the Latino students and families in the metropolitan area. The Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs, with the leadership of Eduardo Perdomo and his team, has allowed the LSF to continue expanding and modifying its program offering to meet the challenging needs of our target audience. Hispanic students have the highest school dropout rates and the lowest college matriculation rates of any demographic group in the U.S. By committing the LSF, MOLA helps eliminate these alarming statistics. MOLA support has helped ensure equal access to the best educational opportunities for DC Latino students and equip them with the tools needed to thrive in the United States system. Approximately 120 high school students who participate in the LSF Post-Secondary Success Program this year are one step closer to higher education. Maria, high school senior, is a long-time LISTO student. So far, she has gotten into 5 out of 6 colleges to which she applied. She is waiting to hear back from the 6th. Her family is amazed to see how many colleges accepted her. Maria's work schedule has been a challenge, but she makes a priority attending the LISTO program to make sure she can afford going to school. And also most of the LISTO students push themselves to get into college and to be ready for higher education. With the MOLA support, we have been able to do this and can continue to support more students of our need. So thank you very much to MOLA, and we're honored to be part of MOLA legacy and grateful to MOLA for investing in our work, thus investing in the future of the Latino youth. Thank you.
Thank you. And real quick, how can one access, you have a website you can leave real quick for those who are watching?
Yes, our website is www.latinostudentfund.org.
LatinoStudentFund.org. All right, thank you. Now we have Paige Jordan.
Thank you, Chairman White. IUTA is appreciative of the opportunity to testify at this performance oversight hearing before the committee regarding the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs. Since 1973, IUTA has served more than 150,000 immigrants in the DC metro area, empowering immigrants to access justice and transform their lives. Leveraging our expertise in providing culturally specific services to low-income immigrants, IUTA looks forward to continued partnership with MOLA as we rise to meeting the growing demand for legal, social, and language access services across the district. We are grateful to MOLA for the support of our work through a community development grant. As immigrant residents of the district face an ever-changing legal landscape, access to legal counsel is more critical than ever. IUTA's immigration legal services help low-income immigrants identify available immigration benefits, navigate the complex bureaucracy that controls access to immigration benefits, and present their case successfully. Another crucial source of funding for IUTA is the Immigrant Justice Legal Services Grant. In 2020, IUTA began receiving funding from IJLS, which supports our Immigration Legal Services Program and the Community Legal Interpreter Bank. In FY22, with IJLS funding, IUTA's attorneys hosted 5 Know Your Rights presentations with 294 attendees receiving vital legal information. IUTA conducted 38 legal screenings and offered 37 brief legal consultations. IUTA's staff and pro bono attorneys provided full legal representations for DC residents in 148 different matters. Also in FY22, the Community Legal Interpreter Bank provided local specially trained interpreters on 264 different occasions and translated 281 documents for IJLS grantees. This language access data does not capture the full need. Some requests for language access assistance from IJLS grantees have to be declined or are paid for by other funding sources. IUTA is committed to ensuring our organization can continue to respond effectively to the communities we serve as demand for our services continues to grow. The district continues to be a primary destination for newly arriving immigrants, many of them unaccompanied minors, migrants arriving on buses from Texas and Arizona, immigrants seeking TPS, and more fleeing high levels of violence, crime, natural disasters, food insecurity, and poverty. IUTA has been part of the community-led response to this humanitarian crisis, providing migrants with brief legal advice and counsel, social services, case management, and language access. The need for these services for newly arriving migrants continues to increase, outpacing the financial resources and staff capacity of area nonprofits. Newly arriving migrants often face language barriers and receive little guidance from government authorities, and as a result, miscommunication and uncertainty abound. Lack of knowledge and conflicting information around immigration procedures can lead to inadvertent noncompliance, which can negatively affect the outcome of immigrants' cases. Immigrants also face challenges accessing work permits because of their immigration status. Legal advice around these processes is needed to help immigrants increase their understanding of and navigate the complex bureaucracy of the immigration system. Beyond the initial legal services, newly arriving immigrants who choose to stay in the DC metro area will need representation in their legal matters, as well as consumer education on legal fraud schemes. As the demand for expert legal counsel grows, so does the demand for professional interpretation and translation services. As an organization deeply embedded in the DC Latino community, we are seeing a critical rise in the need for low barrier legal and language access services among immigrants. Increased support from MOLA in the form of multi-year funding is vital. With increased funding, our legal services program will ensure that more immigrants can successfully navigate the legal system, while our interpreter bank will break down language barriers for more immigrants. IUTA looks forward to continuing to count on the support of MOLA to help immigrants access justice and thereby access educational and workforce opportunities, safety, and stability for themselves and their families. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Robin Griffin.
Good afternoon, Chairman White, Council, and fellow speakers. My name is Robin Griffin. I'm a senior staff attorney with Legal Counsel for the Elderly, an affiliate of AARP, which receives grant funds from the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs, MOLA. At LCE, we impact the lives of nearly 10,000 people annually while advocating for citywide reforms in laws, regulations, and long-term care facilities. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to provide testimony on behalf of MOLA regarding the impact of their grant program on the district community. particularly the numerous older Latinos we represent at LCE. LCE provides legal representation and social work services to residents of the district who are 60 years and older. MOLA is a critical partner that enables us to provide our services. Since 2011, MOLA monies have empowered us to provide more comprehensive and targeted legal services to older DC Latinos. Specifically, MOLA funds support direct legal representation, legal advice, and self-help materials in areas including Social Security, disability benefits, veterans benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, foreclosure prevention and defense, and debt collection defense. In addition, MOLA funds enable LCE to use media and communication strategies to advertise our services and to plan targeted outreach events for the senior Latino community to educate them about benefits to which they may be entitled and to conduct on-site intake where these seniors reside. Furthermore, MOLA funding allows LCE to host legal trainings for our community partners to increase awareness of our services and train non-legal staff to issue spot legal issues. Without the financial assistance of MOLA, we would not have such a broad and impactful reach into the Latino community. We commend MOLA for its efforts to be responsive to and communicate well with its grantees, including direct referrals to us of vulnerable seniors they meet in need of our services, and coordinating new partnerships among its grantees. Together with MOLA support, LCE provides needed legal services to the Latino community in the district. Without MOLA's support and LCE services, many older Latinos in the district might go without the help they need to live productively, independently, and with the dignity in the community. The following is an example of the types of legal issues which we have provided assistance for our Latino clients. LCE recently noticed a troubling pattern. Several Latino clients were unjustifiably denied their Social Security benefits by the Social Security Administration. These clients have TPS, temporary protective status, and are lawfully present in the US. They are entitled to collect Social Security based on their work history and Social Security contributions, like any other older worker. However, Social Security terminated these clients' benefits, wrongly concluding that these clients were not lawfully in the United States. LCE attorneys across practice areas have worked with clients to restore their benefits by communicating and filing an appeal with Social Security. The assistance from the MOLA grant directly contributes to our ability to improve the lives of older Latino DC residents by increasing awareness of and access to legal services provided by LCE through the community and educational outreach and culturally competent legal representation. Together, we can close the gap in access to justice that many of our lower income neighbors face. We urge you to consider continued and strengthened funding for MOLA. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this testimony in support of the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs. Thank you.
Thank you to all who testified today. We're moving on for the sake of time to our next panel. I did ask Dr. Sophia Hoskins on my staff to send you, Ms. Griffin, her email because we want to follow up in any way we can assist with ensuring those residents can get access to the Social Security and other social service benefits. I think the person that talked about that in the last two panels. I did want to note to the panel that the work that MOLA is doing with his grants to you all, our vitals, keeping you all going. I think I heard one person on 2 panels ago say that we need to increase the budget by at least $10 million to keep up with the growing issues and population during this season. And so what we do, for those who don't know, is we draft up a letter and send to the mayor, because this is a season in which she's talking to agency heads, talking to the community, having some listening sessions about how she's creating her budget. And we just got the report last week about the surplus in the budget. And so we send that to the mayor, because once the mayor sends us her budget from the executive to the council, it's then broken off into different committees. And then we have to take money from somewhere else to give to, say, example, the mayor's office on Latino affairs. To increase their budget has to come from someone else's budget. And so we really try to get it into the budget before it gets to us. And it makes our job more easier on this committee as we work with the other council members on this committee to better shape the budget to meet the needs of the residents in the District of Columbia. So we are taking notes for y'all listening, but we will be advocating in capacity to get to the mayor and her and the city administrator and the executive team to get the money in the budget. That way we won't have to take it from somewhere else to put it in the budget, because 10 million is a lot of money to move anywhere. It's not a money as relates to the District of Columbia's budget, but there's a lot of money to move around because my committee only oversees a certain amount of agencies and not the entire $19.5 billion budget. So thank you guys for your advocacy. Continue to do work you do and utilize us in any way we can be supportive. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we had Jeff Gilbert from Beloved Community Incubator, who we replaced by Miss Queenie, Miss Hillary Belfon. And if she is here, you can elevate her. And I do note that Mr. Gilbert said he would be sending in his testimony. I haven't received it yet, but I'm sure he'll be doing that. Thank you guys who spoke. We appreciate your advocacy, and we want to be more involved beyond just a 10-minute hearing. So stay in touch and in tune with what we're doing, and we would like to do the same. Thank you. And I'll begin to call the next list of panelists up. So we have Miss Queenie, we have Mario Gestaldo, Eusebia Valdez, DC Bilingual, PCS, Serena Clark, DC Safe, Emily Quadham, Central American Resources Center, Lawton Sargent, Caribbean Disaster Relief and Recovery Alliance, John McKenzie, Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce, and to my staff, Mr. Yeldale and Ms. Hoskins, if you see anyone else, please let me know so we can bring everyone onto this panel. This will be our final panel of witnesses, so we can get to our government witnesses with our questions and hear their testimonies.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Belfon, if you're there, you can go right ahead. If you can unmute yourself and get started.
Hi, my name is Queenie Belfon, and I've been vending by the mall since 2008. That's 14 years now. And throughout the time, I have been a licensed vendor, but it's hard to keep up with the license and pay the fees. The Mayor Office of Latino Affairs has been talking to vendors around me, but never to me or Black vendors. I'm hearing rumors that they are giving 3 Spanish vendors license. Don't know if it's true. If it's true, how did they make the decision to give 3 Spanish people? I know anything about it. I am very much interested in information regarding how they choose the vendors and stuff. We've been fighting for years to change the laws. We are trying to decriminalize vending without license. We are working together in unity. But this group that they say is helping 3 people, it's putting a wedge between us. We are trying to have unity as vendors. Now we are here and this one is getting licensed and this one is not. It's causing problem. It's not help. Now, the law says 3 licensed vendors on one side of the street. Okay?
Where are you located, Ms. Queenie? Where are you located?
14th and Irving, 31. My license is 3100 14th Street Northwest.
Okay.
Corner of 14th and Irving. So we are trying to get all the vendors vending, not just 3. Latino Affair jump in, pull out 3 vendors. So there's a separation right there. We've been working for years. We haven't seen or heard from Latino. Now that things is coming up for us, they're on set. But the on set, I find, as a division. How do you choose 3 from how much, 40? Is it, to me, it is making enmity between us. We are trying to work as one. But I'm seeing a pulling and tugging. We need to know the truth about this license and how did they make that decision? Because I am the first licensed vendor at the mall.
Thank you, Ms. Belfunk. How do you have some contact information how we can reach you?
Sure.
Because, okay.
I have my email. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
HILARYBELFON@gmail.com.
Thank you. We'll reach out to our other council colleagues who oversee vending licenses, make sure there's equity and inclusion and everything we do. I know you said there's something about 40 other vendors that may be left out, and we want to make sure we create an opportunity for everyone to participate in the economics of our city. Thank you.
Can you take my number? Suppose I didn't see the email, please.
I do want you to know this is a public hearing, so your number will be public. If you want to leave your number, that's fine with us. I had someone from my staff call you
it's okay.
within the next 10 days.
It's okay. Thank you.
All right. And Mr. Gilbert knows how to reach us, so he can send your number to us directly as well. He know how to reach us. Next we have Mario Costado.
Good afternoon, Chairman Trayon White and esteemed members of the Committee on Recreation, Libraries, and Youth Affairs. My name is Mario Cristaldo, Executive Director of Workers United of Washington, D.C., also known as Trabajadores Unidos de Washington, D.C. Today, I stand here with 3 other members of the Trabajadores Unidos participating in this public hearing in the District of Columbia. We, as you may know, Trabajadores Unidos is a community-based nonprofit organization that strives to uplift day laborers, immigrants, and low-wage workers in the DC area through education, training, as well as promoting public awareness of these workers. Since our establishment in 2014, we have significantly improved the quality of life for this vulnerable community. With the support of MOLA, Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs, we offer culturally and linguistically competent services in immigration, wage theft, and low-wage workers training. Last quarter, Trabajadores Unidos, TUWDC, provided orientation and assistance to over 50 newly arrived Venezuelan immigrants in their quest to settle in the DC metro area. This is just the beginning, and we're expecting more immigrants to arrive in the coming days, seeking guidance and immigration services. I must express my gratitude to Eduardo Perdomo, MOLA's Executive Director, for his unwavering support and leadership in providing Trabajadores Unidos with funding and leadership opportunities as well. I'm here today to emphasize the significance of MOLA's and its mission to serve the Latino community, including our constituents and their families in DC. Mr. Chairman, as you may know, Latinos make up more than 10% of the DC population, and we've been an integral part of the city's social fabric for many years, including in your own Ward A. MOLA, under the leadership of Director Perdomo, has not only provided us with grant opportunities, but has also helped us navigate the government agencies through creative means, such as online tools, community fairs, and town hall meetings. The Bowser administration, through MOLA, has also reached out to day laborers and temporary workers in numerous community events, and we're very grateful of these efforts. MOLA is a vital government agency that supports the integration and growth of the Latino community in the district. Its impact is evident in areas such as language access and community development, aligning with the Mayor's Bowser's administration priorities. As someone who have been with Trabajadores Unidos for over a year now, I've seen firsthand how MOLA staff has advised and guides us to better serve our community, building our capacity and improving our relationship with other organizations as well. I urge this committee to continue working with MOLA and assist nonprofits like Trabajadores Unidos in obtaining funding opportunities that align with the council's vision for the District of Columbia. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I'm available for any questions from the chairman or any other member from the committee. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we are moving to Eusebia Valdez, DC Bilingual PCS. Okay, I don't see anyone from DC Bilingual. Serena Clark, DC Safe.
Oh, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Yep.
Thank you, Chairperson White and members of the committee. Good afternoon. My name is Serena Clark, and I'm one of the bilingual advocates at DC Safe. I primarily work with clients who are limited English proficient and are either immigrants, refugees, or asylum seekers from Latin America. Currently, DC Safe is the only agency for domestic violence in Washington, DC, which operates a 24/7 crisis intervention line. And for many of our Latino clients, this is how they come into contact with our agency. Last year, we supported a record 11,657 district residents, of which 348 identified as Spanish-speaking clients. Today, I am excited to discuss the impact of our partnership with the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs and how it has had an impact on our work with the Latino community. MOLA has supported DC Safe's programming for Latino survivors of domestic and intimate partner violence since 2009. And its funds support all of our bilingual staff members, as well as our Acción line, which is a crisis hotline number for Spanish speakers. Last year, we received an average of 30 calls to this line per month. Despite a 57% increase in our overall client base during the pandemic, last year we testified that we saw an overall decrease in Latino clients reaching out for support. We believe this has been a direct result of the multiple ways COVID restricted access to services that our Latino clients need. Thankfully, not only did the Domestic Violence Intake Center in the DC Superior Courthouse remain open throughout COVID, but we also recently expanded our in-person bilingual services to the Domestic Violence Intake Center satellite office in Anacostia as well. Today, I can attest to an ongoing trend in increased Latino client numbers. We believe this speaks to the importance of in-person services and the need for more Spanish speakers able to provide them, all of which is supported by MOLA. Additionally, we've been able to reach more, we believe we've been able to reach more Latino clients through our executive director's targeted outreach efforts with partner organizations in the Latino community, such as Entre Amigas, and La Clínica del Pueblo, Ayuda, and the Family Place. When we obtained funding from the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, for a second year, we continued to work with them to identify Latino clients who could benefit from direct financial assistance. And as a result, we distributed $210,000 last year, providing flexible funds towards rental assistance, security deposits, furniture, and other housing-related costs. I'm proud to say that this amount has increased by over $100,000 from the year before. While our progress with partners and increased outreach within the Latino community is exciting, the need for funding to assist them is more pressing now than ever. The crisis at the southern border is no longer limited to southernmost states. Since April of last year, nearly 10,000 migrants, more than 200 busloads of people, have found their way to DC's doorsteps or Union Station. And if last year's trend is any indication of what's to come, that number is only going to rise. U.S. Customs and Border Protection released record high numbers of nationwide encounters at all borders. In the current fiscal year to date, there have already been more than 800,000 encounters with migrants at the southern border alone. In fiscal year 2022, that number totaled more than 2.7 million people, the vast majority of which are fleeing gang and gender-based violence, political persecution from Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. Their needs and the challenges they face are significant and are vastly different from what an advocate might face with clients who are already U.S. citizens and require specialized training to address. Often, immigration status can be a barrier to obtaining lawful employment, to receiving benefits available to the public, and the fear of deportation leads some of our clients not to report crimes or seek medical attention when they need it most. The needs they have are just as important as our other clients, but the resources available to assist them are fewer in comparison. Our Latino clients deserve the same level of effort they've put into trying to build a future for themselves from the community. And that means they need advocates who are trained not only to help them access services in their own language or to escape violence, but to avail themselves of their situation in ways that work toward the kind of future they want. In my experience, many of our Latino clients are undocumented. And while this makes them more vulnerable, it also means the consequences for them and the possible outcome of their circumstances are also unique. We find ourselves in a position to potentially help these clients use their situations to their advantage. Many of our clients are unaware that intimate partner violence may make them eligible to apply for certain visas, giving them a pathway to legal residency and citizenship. For our clients that fall in this category, it has the potential to become a springboard for them into an entirely different set of life-changing circumstances, setting them and their children up for success by giving them equal access to healthcare, employment opportunities, and education, and can be their stepping stone into a new kind of life, the one they dreamed of when they came to this country. To do that, though, we need the community's help to invest in that dream, to train advocates to know what resources to direct them to, whether that be a consulate, an immigration attorney, or a community partner familiar with visa eligibility requirements. We also need funding to assist with housing, transportation, and legal fees. As we approach the upcoming budget hearings, we want to reiterate how grateful we are for our partnership with MOLA. Their support is instrumental to our impact and must be sustained. It is a critical year as the city needs to bridge the ARPA gap, providing the same robust funding to supportive services in the years ahead. The level of need is continuously changing, and we must rise to meet that need. The Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs plays an important part in ensuring that our city is responding to the best of its ability to Latino survivors and their families. And we look forward to continuing our partnership and to working together to empower our survivors to pursue lives free of violence. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to any questions you may have.
Thank you. I just want to thank you, Mr. Costado, for your testimony. We go to Emily Quavam. Correct.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
My name is Emily Qualheim, and I am a staff attorney at the Central American Resource Center. On behalf of Carecen, I would like to express our gratitude for the IJLS and Latino Community Development grants from MOLA, which have been a critical source of support for our operations. Since 1981, Carecen's mission has been to foster the comprehensive development of the Latinx community by providing direct services while promoting grassroots empowerment, civic engagement, and human rights advocacy. The grant funding that we received from MOLA has allowed us to provide direct immigration legal services and citizenship preparation to DC residents. In April 2022, when the governors of Texas and Arizona began busing asylum seekers to DC, Carecen joined other local organizations to coordinate humanitarian efforts and assist these new arrivals. With the support of the IJLS grant, Carecen has been able to give almost weekly Know Your Rights presentations to migrants, including many asylum seekers who arrived on the buses and now reside in DC. After fleeing their countries of origin, surviving a difficult journey to the United States, and overcoming racist immigration policies designed to exclude them at the border, asylum seekers are met with additional challenges, including a lack of affordable legal representation. Given the complexity and evolving nature of asylum policy, many asylum seekers do not apply for asylum unless they have an attorney. Thanks to the IJLS grant, Carecen launched our new Pro Se Asylum project to address the gap in asylum representation and help recent arrivals apply for asylum. During our free Pro Se Asylum workshops, participants meet with Carecen staff members and volunteers to prepare and file their asylum applications before their one-year filing deadlines. We hope that our workshops will give unrepresented asylum seekers the tools they need to present their asylum claims and advocate for themselves and their families in immigration court, giving them a fighting chance at a safe and dignified life. Carecen has also participated in impact litigation to benefit our clients, including special immigrant juveniles and TPS beneficiaries. Under our TPS settlement agreement, Carecen and numerous legal representatives all over the country have successfully reopened and dismissed removal orders for TPS holders. Finally, Carecen has helped many clients prepare for the U.S. naturalization interview and test. With the support of the Latino Community Development Grant, Carecen has helped many Latinx immigrants achieve their dream of U.S. citizenship. The support that Carecen has received from MOLA has been critical to our ongoing success in serving DC residents. We look forward to continuing to serve as MOLA grantees and to expanding our programs to support the community's needs for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's an echo. Check 1, 2. Oh, there we go. And next will be Lawton Sargent from the Caribbean Disaster Relief and Recovery Alliance. Okay. And finally, we have John McKenzie from the Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce. Let's see, John. Okay, I don't see John. Okay, going once, going twice. So, okay, thank you guys for speaking today. My staff and I are texting and taking notes and okay, Lawton Sargent, I see you are here. If you can log on quick and open up and give your testimony before we move on. Thank you, Mr. Costado. There we go. Thank you, Queenie.
Are you hearing me now?
I can hear you. It's breaking up a little bit, so you got to talk so I can let you know if I can hear you or not.
Okay, good. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Chairman White and other committee members. My name is Lofton Sargent. I'm a retired electrical engineer with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And I'm also part of several DC-based Caribbean organizations, which includes the Caribbean Disaster Relief and Recovery, the Image Band, the DC Caribbean Carnival, and the Institute of Caribbean Studies. I know that I had the option to submit a written testimony today, but I felt it very necessary to present my testimony virtually. So I'm here today to express my continued support for the Mayor's Office of Caribbean Community Affairs. Ever since this office opened its door back in June of 2022, I have seen a renewed effort under the great leadership of Natalie Snyder to bridge the gap with the DC Caribbean community by promoting MOCAs through many community outreach activities, such as the first Caribbean Community Veterans event back in November of 2022, which celebrated and honored local heroes from the Caribbean who served our nation across all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces. MOCA also joined with Caribbean leaders in the DC community the DC Caribbean community back in January to brainstorm ways to activate Caribbean culture and business in the city. MOCA also mobilized a group of Caribbean residents back in January 22nd to participate in the Chinese Lunar New Year celebration, which was the Year of the Rabbit. And finally, MOCA also conducted a Caribbean Community Roundtable on the 27th of January of this year, which was an in-person discussion held with Caribbean residents around how to uplift the culinary, artistic, cultural, political, and business contributions for the 2023 Caribbean Heritage Month celebration in DC. And these are just to name a few. MOCA, under Director Snyder's leadership, has been busy keeping the DC Caribbean community abreast with the numerous city programs and initiatives. And the Caribbean community is very excited, and we engage MOCA to keep providing that information. As you know, promoting MOCA and the many city services and opportunities is a great step forward, but it takes funding to bring these efforts to fruition. In the community, there are several disparities in areas such as housing, healthcare, education, employment, social services, public safety, and economic development. With adequate funding through the present city grant program, MOCA will be better positioned to truly serve the DC Caribbean community more effectively by offering Caribbean businesses, entrepreneurs, and nonprofits the opportunity to apply for funding to assist in serving the DC Caribbean community. I thank you for this opportunity and for your continued support of MOCA, and look forward to a year of great successes in the District of Columbia. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your service. And I'm glad you was able to make it in.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right. We're gonna move to our government witnesses. We're gonna start with Mola, the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs. While we get set, we're gonna pause for 2 minutes to make sure everything is set up, and then we're gonna move to the Mayor's Office of Caribbean Community Affairs. So we can have them queued up. It'd be great for me. Thank you guys and all who testified today. Thank you. If you can set the clock to 2 minutes, that'd be helpful for me. And bring the directors in and their staff in.
Okay, I cannot hear.
Hello. We're on mute, Director Snyder. She can go on mute right now.
Thank you. It says I'm not on mute.
You have to put it like it's literally small.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I think it should be lower. What do you think? Maybe not.
They can't hear me at all.
Director Snyder, we can hear you. You should go on mute.
Oh, my apologies. We're just switching up a little here. Can you said you guys can hear me?
Yes, I was saying you can go on mute until you get called.
Oh, I got it. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So looking on here. So Dr. Hoskins, help me.
Yes, sir.
Is Ms. Snyder next? Because I see she is elevated to the screen. Help me
I
so I can make
believe
sure I'm
that we
speaking
were
up.
going to go on to the executive director Perdomo.
No, Snyder is
No.
first, and Perdomo.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. So I apologize, Mr. Perdomo. We're gonna go to, and I know you're ready as you always are. And I thank you for your patience. I know you pride yourself on listening in, you're being attentive to these hearings to figure out how better ways you agency can serve these organizations that you represent. So I will try to follow order. Make sure I'm not out of order as the leader. Now go to Miss Natalie Snyder. And Miss Snyder, I do want you to know is the practice of this agency, of this committee, to swear in all government witnesses. You can start by raising your right hand. And Ms. Snyder is Director of the Mayor's Office of Caribbean Community Affairs. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give to the Committee on Recreation, Library, Youth Affairs, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, you can start off with your opening statement. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Trayon White, members, staff of the Committee on Recreation, Libraries, and Youth Affairs, and members of the public. I am Natalie S. Snyder, Director of the Mayor's Office of Caribbean Community Affairs, also known as MOCA. Today, I am pleased to testify before the committee about MOCA's accomplishments for FY22 and FY23 to date. First, I want to thank Mayor Muriel Bowser for her leadership and commitment to establishing the historic Office on Caribbean Community Affairs and appointing its inaugural director. It is truly an honor for MOCA to serve the Caribbean community under Mayor Muriel Bowser's leadership. As the Office on Caribbean Community Affairs is new, our first mission was to connect with members of the Caribbean diaspora in Washington, D.C. from all 8 wards to promote the office's establishment. Second, our mission is to link community members to the many services offered by Mayor Muriel Bowser and the district government. And third, we aim to promote and uplift the Caribbean culture in the district to include our culinary, artistic, professional, historical, and business contributions. In our first 7 months, we connected with over 500 Caribbean constituents to promote the establishment of the office, including businesses, associations, and residents. We established the office's first social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, to have a multi-pronged approach to help leverage the flow of information to as many Caribbean constituents as possible. As a result, across all social media platforms, we average 1 new follower per day and 300 to 500 impressions, with as many as 2,000 impressions looking at a single post. We are working on a holistic communications approach to strengthening our outreach and engagement, which includes social media, print, radio, text, newsletters, listservs, and emails to reach as many Caribbean Washingtonians as possible. We created MOCA's website platform to allow all district residents to learn more about the director, the office, and how to stay connected to district government programs, policies, and a calendar to promote upcoming events celebrating the district's unique Caribbean community throughout the year. We work with the Mayor's Office on talent and appointments to help establish the inaugural advisory committee to the Office on Caribbean Community Affairs. We've promoted the advisory committee throughout all 8 wards and look forward to finalizing a diverse group of applicants. With over 500 Caribbean connections made, we continue to build strong relationships and strategic partnerships with several associations, embassies, places of worship, student organizations, and cultural nonprofits, such as the Jamaican National Association of Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Washington, D.C., and the University of the District of Columbia Caribbean Students Association, all to connect with as many stakeholders from the Caribbean diaspora as possible and learn about the pressing issues and challenges our district's Caribbean community encounters and how to connect with them with the resources provided by Mayor Muriel Bowser and the district government. Finally, we've met with members of the Advisory Neighborhood Commission and attended open streets in wards 7, 5, 4, and 3 to help promote the establishment of the Mayor's Office on Caribbean Community Affairs. Our current community outreach engagement efforts are laying a solid foundation that will, in turn, build trust within the Caribbean community. While we continue to build upon our community outreach and engagement, MOCA is committed to supporting Mayor Muriel Bowser's priorities, especially regarding housing and economic development. We want to ensure that district residents are aware of resources and opportunities for a fair shot to the middle class and stay in the district. To that end, we have partnered with the Office of Tenant Advocate, the Black Homeownership Strike Force, and the DC Department of Housing and Community Development. MOCA has promoted and linked over 100 Caribbean residents to homeowner and renters resources, including DC Office of the Tenant Advocate Know Your Rights Renters Guide 101, DC Homeowner Assistance Fund that would allow first-time homebuyers to receive up to $202,000 in interest-free down payment loans and $4,000 in closing cost assistance to help make their home buying dreams possible. Foreclosure moratorium that would allow homeowners to stay in their homes while they receive help from the federal and local government. Black homeownership workshops, dorms to homes, affordable housing opportunities in Ward 7 at the Strand Residences in Providence Place. In addition, MOCA works tirelessly to promote and uplift our cultural contributions as they relate to Caribbean cuisine, artists, businesses, and nonprofit contributors that strengthen the diverse fabric of our wonderful city. The district is home to members of the Caribbean diaspora from at least 33 Caribbean island nations. To help share our diversity and culture, MOCA attended and promoted several Caribbean island nation independence celebrations. To promote our culinary abilities, we hosted a Caribbean Restaurant Week tour that highlighted over 30 Caribbean restaurants in Washington, D.C. To promote the Caribbean community's artistic abilities, we attended and promoted several small local business owners, including the famous Caribbean musical group Image Band and the members of the DC Caribbean Carnival. We also promoted authors of Caribbean heritage by creating a visual tour of the Caribbean via accessing free public libraries in all 8 wards. To promote our professional achievements, we've partnered with organizations such as DC Doors to assist unhoused youth in learning ways to stop the cycle of homelessness. Over the next year, we will continue our monthly Caribbean Roundtable to hear directly from Caribbean constituents on ways our office can address their needs. MOCA will also start with working with Caribbean stakeholders, such as the Institute of Caribbean Studies, to research best practices and methods to complete the Caribbean Count. The Caribbean Count will create a policy allowing a census-style campaign to collect data on the exact number of Caribbean community members living in DC and how to best serve this diverse population. In conclusion, I continue to be honored to have the opportunity to lead MOCA, and I'm grateful to Mayor Muriel Bowser, the DC Council, and the advocates that have placed their trust in this office. Chair Trayon White Sr. and committee members, thank you for this opportunity to testify today. I look forward to answering any questions you may have, and you can always reach us online at communityaffairs.DC. office.dc.gov.
Thank you, Director Snyder. Were you with MOCA prior to be getting appointed as director?
No, MOCAS was created, the actual office with me in June 2022.
Oh, you're right. You're
So-
absolutely right. And in this new role and this new office to the government, let me ask you this: how has this transition been for you in integrating with other district government agencies? I heard you mention Office of Tenant Advocate, also some other partners.
Thank you. I appreciate that question. For me, it's been an absolute pleasure and wonderful experience. In reference to the Office of Tenant Advocates, it was perfect timing when they had their Renters 101 workshop, because I had constituents reaching out asking about renters issues. Also had working with the DC Public Library. I had constituents asking about Caribbean authors, and we worked together to put out books at Martin Luther King Library. As far as my sister agencies under MOCA, that's been an extreme pleasure because, as you stated, my office is brand new, and I rely on my sister agencies heavily to make sure we get resources to my constituents.
In your experience thus far, I guess, what would you say are some of the Caribbean diasporas that are more prevalent in DC?
Thank you. The immigrants from Jamaica. Jamaica is we have about 7,000 Caribbean residents, according to the Census Bureau, and immigrants from Jamaica are the number one as far as population.
Any other ones?
And we're just speaking, I should clarify, if we're referring to English-speaking Caribbean. So we have Jamaica, and then second, Trinidad and Tobago. If we go into Spanish-speaking Caribbean, maybe like Puerto Rico, but usually the Office of Latino Affairs does a wonderful job. So for this, we just discuss English-speaking Caribbean.
Thank you. I don't know if you was on the hearing earlier when we heard from a lady who was at 14th Street Northwest. She was actually Trinidad Tobago descendant who reached out about getting support about keeping her business licensed on 14th Street. And so we gather her information. We want to work with you to ensure that any and all persons that have licenses are able to, create business for themselves in the District of Columbia. So she did leave her email, but I want to follow up with your office and make sure you get it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Did you get her email at all?
I received her name, Queenie Belfon, and then the @Gmail. So I would like to get.
Her email is Hillary, HILARY.
Yes.
BELFON Belfon @gmail.com.
Perfect.
And we'll be getting a number soon where we want to make sure. I mean, she's been a vocal person, but she said it's roughly 40 other vendors there, but she's a member of the Trinidad Tobago community as well.
Yes.
Okay.
I will reach out to her this afternoon or tomorrow.
Got it. Thus far, which social media platforms have you created to generate or engage constituents, if any?
So I've created 3. My office has created 3 so far, which is Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I've noticed between my constituents, some constituents prefer Facebook. Sometimes they're older. Younger organizations prefer Twitter, and creative individuals, constituents sometimes prefer Instagram. So it's really important that my office is across all 3.
Got it. What are some of the biggest issues you've heard from constituents? I know you said you're helping. One of the things you're concerned about in your testimony was housing and economic development. But what are you hearing from the constituents that's a continuing theme?
In reference to housing and economic development, I do know, and I was listening to the hearing earlier, that I have constituents that have Caribbean restaurants, businesses, and they definitely want to access the many grants Mayor Bowser has proposed. So I usually make sure I connect them to our website, obviously DC, that has a lot of grants, cultural grants. I'm having a workshop coming up on February 17th with one of the restaurants to make sure more Caribbean restaurants know about the different grants. As far as housing, housing is one of the things the Caribbean residents feel is, you know, some have been here for 50, 60 years, and slowly they see some of their other Caribbean colleagues leaving. And so my determination is to keep as many Caribbean constituents in Washington, DC as possible and connect them to all the resources.
Thank you. And I heard you, when you mentioned housing, you also mentioned economic development. How do you envision we tie the economic and development in with deep levels of affordable housing to ensure that as the city moves forward and grow, that we don't forget about those, like you said, who've been here for 50 years?
Well, most of the Caribbean constituents that I know in Washington, DC, and those that come to my office, they're also not just in housing, but they could be nurses, doctors, accountants. They run the gamut of careers. And what I try to do is say, oh, you know, I see this is your career field. This is the opportunity or grant or service that could benefit you. For example, I was speaking to a few government workers and I said, did you know about these grants specifically for government workers? So I see that as making sure I link them to the resources that might for their particular career field.
Got it. Are you having any hallmark events that will be used to draw in and give access to the agency resources to the residents coming up?
Yes, one of the things we want to do that we started in January is the Caribbean Roundtable. We launched the first one this January, and we had a couple of agencies stop by to introduce to the Caribbean constituents. We had about 75 constituents turn up to our first roundtable, and we're going to keep this moving, keep this going every single month and invite different agencies to attend because it's something I noticed that the community appreciates.
How do you get residents to attend? How are you reaching them?
So I have a multi-pronged approach. I do I do phone calls, I do text messages, I do social media, I do email. But I did a poll actually today where I have about 70 constituents, and I asked, what is your preferred method? And believe it or not, a lot said text messages. So I'm probably gonna lean heavily into text messaging some constituents. But yes, phone calls, text messages, social media, newsletter, emails.
Got it. We know that one aspect of Caribbean culture is food. How do you feel about, has there been any concern about those Caribbean restaurants or businesses being affected by business during the pandemic?
Yes, we've had, so June is Caribbean Heritage Month. And so when I was first appointed, the first thing I did was, or partnered with NCAFA to do Caribbean Restaurant Week. And with Caribbean Restaurant Week, I visited about 30 Caribbean restaurants and found out from them what kind of things did they need, what issues were they having. And you are correct that during the pandemic, some of the establishments did suffer, and we are trying to engage them to see how we can uplift and promote the Caribbean cuisine and have folks survive past the pandemic. One of the restaurants I know that's coming toward a Caribbean restaurant that used the Food Access Fund grant is Sopadilla. That Caribbean restaurant, yes, so they were very appreciative of the food access grant program, and will be opening a spot in Ward 8.
Are you all planning any Caribbean festivals? I know historically we had a lot of those in the district. It kind of faded away during the pandemic, but
Yes, I have members of the Caribbean community that we are meeting monthly to decide what a festival would look like, and how we can start off small and move forward. Of course, I've been here since the early 80s, so yes, I'm very familiar with the festivals, and yes, it's 9 out of 10 Caribbean constituents ask me about that.
got it. I guess I want to know, do you provide supports, I guess, to the business community? And is there something specific in your agency you want to do to kind of outreach and engage the business communities?
As my office is so new, one of the things, the support is making sure I link the business community to resources. At this moment, which we are working on, we don't have a specific program for the business community. But as I stated on February 17th, we're having a program with the business community involving Ben's Chili Bowl, Sandovan Restaurant, because I'm not sure if you're aware, Ben's Chili Bowl is a Trinidadian accent, Sandovan Restaurant is Jamaican, and a couple other community members to get together and see what we can do in reference to the business community.
Can you send that information to my staff, and I would love to attend?
Yes, yes.
How many staff do you currently have?
Currently, it's just myself.
Okay.
But we are advertising for an associate director.
Okay, and where are you located?
I'm located at 2014, the Reeves Building.
The Reeves Building.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I know you're just getting started, so I don't have a lot of questions for you as it relates to performance oversight. I just want to thank you for your time, Director. We look forward to working with you any way we can be assistance. Please reach out and also send us that information for the February 17th.
Thank you, Chairman White Sr. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Right now we will have Director Eduardo Perdomo, the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs. If you are here, you can come on in. And if any staff will be speaking with you, if they be speaking, they can come on screen, on camera, because I want to swear in all government witness. Hey, Director. I see you threw on your scarf, man. I don't know what that's about, but I like it. We are DC. Your screen is frozen. Check the mic real quick. Check the mic, Director. I can't see you and your screen is frozen.
It might be the connection here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's low, but I can hear you. Yes, but I can't see you. I only can see your screen frozen.
Let's see. We can use your computer. Do you mind, Mr. Chairman, if we use no, I think it's the internet connection.
So let's take a break for 2 minutes while you get that together, and we'll jump back on and see if you can work it out. If you need me to do anything to accommodate Office of Cable Television, please let us know, because as you know, we are live on TV. So
thank you very much.
Take 2 minutes so you can get settled.
Okay. Maybe I can use just this one that was kicking me out.
But we have the same link, so you could just sign in as yourself.
Which internet connection are you logging?
Just sign in when you log in?
Which internet connection do you have?
I have,
Yeah, I'm on mute, by the way.
Can you do a test of your sound and real quick, Director, before we go? Okay, it's still frozen. Okay. What's that? Director, if you can give us a test run real quick. I know we're in it's a
Yes,
time
sir.
run.
Let's see. Can you hear me and see me? Yes, good. Thank you, Mr. Sherman.
I can see and hear you very well. As you know, you're very familiar with the practice as officers swear in all government witnesses. You can start by raising your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give to the Committee on Recreation, Library, and Youth Affairs is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Mr. Sherman.
All right, you can start off by giving your testimony.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes, Mr. Sherman Terwin White, members of the committee and committee staff. My name is Eduardo Perdomo, and I'm honored to serve as the Director of Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs, better known as MOLA, under the visionary leadership of Mayor Muriel Bowser. Chairman White, thank you for the opportunity to testify today about MOLA's performance for fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 23 to date. As we enter the historic term administration of Mayor Muriel Bowser, and as I am the first self-identified Afro-Latino to lead this agency in its 46 years of history, racial equity and the promotion of the district Latino diversity are the main catalyzers in every single program, project, activity conducted by MOLA. The mission of Mayor Bowser's Office on Latino Affairs is to improve the quality of life of the 11.4% of DC Latinos by addressing a broad range of social and economic needs through a strategic management of public and private partnerships, expertise on policy, community relations, civic engagement, and community-based grants. During the past years, as director of MOLA, my team and I are focused on assisting Mayor Muriel Bowser in executing an inclusionary district comeback. MOLA served as a bridge connecting people to solutions linked to the mayor's policies initiatives. I want to take this opportunity to thank Mayor Muriel Bowser for her constant support to DC communities. I also want to thank my team, community partners, and other DC government agencies. Without them, we could have not been able to serve and improve the lives of the members of DC Latino communities. As Mayor Bowser proclaimed during her inaugural address, we have a mandate from the people to be bold, to think big, to push the envelope, and above all else, to win for our district constituents. Mr. Chairman White, now I want to share with the committee some of MOLA key accomplishments. I'm proud to report that during fiscal year 2022 to date, MOLA stayed open every day from Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., providing in-person services and stepping up to all challenges, making sure that DC Latinos benefit from access to essential government services. During fiscal year 22, MOLA subscribed over 250 DC Latinos to the Solar for All program. This was a collaboration with DOE, where individuals enrolled into the program collectively save up to $125,000 in reduced electricity bill while contributing to the district environmental goals, a win-win situation. Moreover, MOLA connected over 945 DC Latinos to obtain or renew their access to the Health Insurance Alliance, promoting inclusion and the provision of vital services. In addition, MOLA assisted more than 365 households to pay back rent through the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, ERAP. Additionally, in fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 23 to date, MOLA, in collaboration with community partners such as the Capital Area Food Bank, Francis on the Hill, Goya, and Panap Latino Grocery Store, distributed over 360,000 pounds of free food for DC Latinos and other DC residents. The food distribution were supplemented with wraparound services in the form of immigration legal assistance, health services through the provision of COVID vaccines, flu shots, diabetes prevention, Zumba exercise classes, and mammograms. In the process of making sure that every DC Latino gets a fair shot, MOLA partnered with DOES to implement the Summer Youth Employment Program in fiscal year 22. And we're planning to do so again in fiscal year 23. As a result, in fiscal year 22, over 100 DC Latinos ages 14 to 24 were exposed to workforce and training programs. Youth participants gain experience in various career settings, such as environmental management, farmers markets, social services, administrative and clerical services, and arts and creative economy. This is one of its kind program because the purpose of it is to engage with recently arrived DC Latinos and those that are in high need of a structure and work training environment. Furthermore, MOLA, in partnership with 117 community-based programs, delivered approximately 195 units of direct services, meaning that we connected individuals to services in the area of education by connecting kids to free after-school programs, legal services by connecting DC immigrants to free or very discounted legal services, housing services in the form of tenants' rights workshops and access to financial assistance for first-time homebuyers, arts and creative economy by exposing low-income DC Latinos to the theater and acting classes and the promotion of cultural activities like the first ever DC Afro-Latino Festival and El Pequeño Salvador Festival, and also by connecting DC Latinos to workforce development training programs and job placement. Health services by linking our seniors with programmatic activities to age in a friendly way, and prenatal care to ensure that our new babies are born healthy and strong. One common characteristic of all of our programs is the fact that they must be linguistically and culturally appropriate, because Mayor Muriel Bowser believes that we are stronger when we embrace our city's diversity and when we live by our DC values. Beyond the scope of numbers and statistics, MOLA, standing in the community, has continuously grown. I'm grateful to Mayor Muriel Bowser for my appointment as director of MOLA because it reflects her commitment in cultivating a diverse and representative workforce in the government of the District of Columbia. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, I want to invite anyone who might be interested in contacting our office to please do so by visiting us from Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 2000 14th Street Northwest, Suite 206, or call us at 202-671-2825. Individuals can also follow us on social media at holadc.gov or email us at hola@dc.gov. Mr. John White and members of the committee, again, thank you all for this opportunity to testify, and I welcome any question from the committee at this time. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Thank you, Director Perdomo, for your testimony that's very detailed about the work you all have been doing. And there's an old saying that your work should speak for you. There are a lot of individuals that were in the hearing today that spoke volumes about their work they're doing and how MOLA has been a key asset to keeping them accomplishing their mission. And so we want to thank you for that. I know you said earlier in your testimony that you are the first Afro-Latino leader of MOLA in its 40 years of history. And you're initiating your Black History Month campaign, which highlights, I guess, stories of Afro-Latinos. And I think that's, can you tell us a little bit more what that is? I know it's Black History Month, and what is it you're doing?
So thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity once again. So what we're trying to do is to highlight the diversity of the Latinos in the district. And by doing so, we are focusing at this time in the Afro-Latinos, such as myself, and they're from any part from Latin America and some parts of the Caribbean as well. We're trying to highlight the profiles of individuals that have been here for decades. They're working for the community in areas of arts and creative economy and public safety and civic engagement, housing, in many areas. So with the purpose of just acknowledging that we Latinos are from different backgrounds and with different interests, but we are not we don't necessarily all look the same. So it's very important for us because as a first identified Afro-Latino to lead the office in 46 years, it's part of our core values to highlight the diversity and inclusion in every single program that we hosted at MOLA. And it has been part of the instructions that we received from the mayor because we're promoting, by doing so, our DC values.
Thank you for that. I guess one of the initial questions I'm concerned about was about the District of Columbia being prepared to serve Latino residents who's growing in the district and what we can do. I know you do a number of things and you reach out to so many different organizations and agencies. What's your thoughts on how we better provide services to the growing population in the district?
One of the beauties of living here in the district, which is I think that we're all grateful for it's we have plenty of resources out there. And the main challenge, at least for my office, is to find ways to better connect our constituents. And that's why we have all of these partnerships, because collaborating with the community-based programs that we support throughout the year is one way that we have to amplify the message of the mayor in connecting people to solutions, whether it's housing services, job or workforce training programs, arts of creative economy. So like the best approach from my point of view is to see how we amplify this message of like the available services and resources that are out there and connect our constituents in their own language and culturally appropriate programs, and through means that they feel comfortable in the process of engaging with the government or community-based programs.
Got it. And so I do note that in the earlier conversation during this hearing, I was trying to figure out, how many immigrants have migrated in the district over the course of the last year or so. And I've been told there's 9,000, and I don't have the official number. I'm just repeating what I heard until I get an official number. And I know that several of the advocates who've been helping to, I guess, find resources for them have been in correspondence with the council to some degree. I know Harriet's Dreams reached out, and there was another organization that reached out. I can't get off the top of my head. But how, if any, is MORCA involved in this at all?
So from the early stage of the process, when this was not even at the front of the newspapers or social media or TV, the mayor instructed Mola and her team to tackle this issue by the main thing, which is like treating the humanity of the issue and understanding that the financial resources of the district are limited. How do we balance that process of engaging with an influx of immigrant coming into our city and understanding the humanity? So that's what we did. We supported the effort through our robust network of community-based organizations that we work with, along with the services that we provide through DC government. Now we can, we're happy to say that DC government has Office of Migrant Services under the Department of Human Services that is taking care of every single immigrant that runs through the city. And something to point out, Mr. Sherman, is that over more than 90% of the immigrants are in transit, meaning that they're not necessarily making DC their final destination. We're helping them to reach their final destination. And once again, we have been instructed by the mayor to treat this issue with like the human dignity of the issue, as well as understanding that we as managers, we have to deal with the limited resources available to our disposal.
Thank you, Derek. Can you clarify that when you say in transit? So once they get here, we help them transfer to another place, or because I heard one of the organizations that have legal counsel that say they were connecting some of the kids with families who were here. But what does in transit mean?
In transit means that DC is not their final destination, and since they're being bossed without their complete acknowledgement of what they're going or what they're doing, they're coming in here not as a natural process of immigration, which is like you go to a place where you have a relative or a friend that is waiting for you. They're coming here without none of that, but DC is not their final destination. They're going somewhere else. In case of the organization that you mentioned, Mr. Sherman, it's a kind works with kids that are in process of deportation proceedings. And they represent them through our Immigrant Justice Legal Services grant, which the mayor created in 2017 as a response to the White House immigration approach. That program started with $500,000 in 2017. Today is $3.5 million. And we're taking serving more than 10,000 people every year, immigrants from different walk of life and different backgrounds. So what they're doing is representing these kids. And when they mention that they're trying to find a family member, it's like they've been sent over to DC because they have a family that could be in charge of them.
Thank you. That's a little clarity. I guess because I do know that there data shows that about 11.4% of DC residents are Latino, and that number is growing. How do we, as a government, and not necessarily all this is not on your agency, I'm just asking you because you represent MOLA. How are we keeping accountable? Who's coming? Who's getting what services? Making sure people are not just simply falling through the cracks. I heard the reason why I asked is because one of the conversations earlier was about gentrification happening and residents who've been here who may have came here, been here for over 50 years are now getting overlooked because we have an influx of new residents coming in. So we want to make sure there's a healthy balance. And have you been thinking about that and ensuring that we can capture both simultaneously?
I mean, those that have been here for decades and DC residents that we've been serving, they fortunately, as I mentioned before, we have so many services and programs provided by DC government, and one of them, which anyone, not only Black individuals, but also other individuals can access to, is the first-time home buyer program. And individuals, no matter their legal status, they could access to this program. Which is a way to like keep DC diverse. And the mayor in this fiscal year increased the funding for the HPAT program, which was before, I think it was 100 and something thousand, now it's $200,000 up to, and from which helps the whole process of keeping people. One way that we keep track of is like DC is one of the most welcoming city in America when it comes for immigrants, meaning that it doesn't matter your immigration legal status, you can get access to various services. You can get access to education, you can get access to open bank accounts, you can get access to a limited purpose driver's license to drive around and be safe and get access to an insurance. You can get access to things that otherwise in other cities you wouldn't be able to do so. So DC is open not only for business, for people that are coming here to make DC a better place.
Thank you. I'm gonna jump around a little bit, talk about the grants. Are you able to give a general description of the 220 community-based grants awarded by MOLA in FY 22-23? And before you do that, what's the total amount for those 220 grants?
So we have Chairman White, we have over grants that range from $5,000 to up to $50,000 through the Latino Community Development Grant. And then we have the Immigrant Justice Legal Services Grant. Grants, depending on the program, could range in that amount, but we have grants in every single operations of these grants or activities being conducted of these grants in every single ward. The main thing is we put a call for proposal, people apply, we review them along with an external review panel, which provide funding recommendations, and then it goes to the Grant Advisory Review Board, which is comprised by DC government employees, which provides the final assessment in funding decision process. We tried every year to do this process, to incorporate new organizations in the process and to take under consideration those are underserved and the mayoral priorities and initiatives. So right now, for instance, in Ward 7 and 8, last year and to date, we have around 46 programs between fiscal year 22 and 23 that were conducted at the east of the river. Some of them, they provided testimony today here in front of your committee. In like DC Scores, they provide poetry and healthy lifestyle to students part of the program. And they provide this in Thomas Elementary School, Eaton Elementary School, Kelly Miller Elementary School, Barnville Elementary School, and among some others. I think that we have like over 28 schools that we support at the east of the river through our community grants. and $420,000 between fiscal year 22 and 23.
Okay. So the grant amount is 420K that you give out.
For 7 and 8, but overall is $6.5 million.
Thank you. That's the number I was looking for. Appreciate it. All right. There has been an increase in conversation about decriminalizing street vending. Has that come to your office, and are you working with anyone as relates to that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have been working closely with council member and her office, Brianna Doe. In this process, we met 13 times from August 17, 2022 to date. Last meeting we had with them was last week. We've been working in the process of bringing people into compliance, understanding that treating people with the dignity and respect that they deserve, but understanding that there are some requirements that need to be met in the process of allowing people to engage in commercial activities in the street.
Let me ask you this, Director. What are some of the barriers that prevent someone from being in compliance that you see in a recurring theme?
I think it's a matter of, from my point of view, of having a community manager who helps them to navigate the process, because it's not a matter of income. They produce enough income to be able and sustainable in the process. In fact, some of them, they have been there for more than 2 decades, selling in the streets around Columbia Heights area. So if you're doing something like that, it's because there is some retribution and income related to it. So it's a matter of having someone that can help them to navigate, and that's what we're doing. Actually, we are going to start a community program with some of the constituents that they have been there working. They're DC residents. They have been there before the beginning of the pandemic, and that they're willing to go through the process of meeting the requirements put out there by the LCP, by Department of Health, and by the DDOT.
And I heard you also say you are working in 28 schools. And working in schools, do you see there is any significant issues in the district providing or providing resources to those who are having trouble, I guess, with language barriers in the district?
Yes, we do have the Language Access Act of 2004, which makes the district has to abide to it, and it makes sure that we as a government agencies and employees have to provide and connect individuals with limited English proficiency or non-English speakers to the resources in their own language. And we have, according to the Language Access Act, six languages that we have to abide to, and Spanish is one of them. So I think the district is doing a pretty good job in abiding to the 2004 Language Access Act. Of course, there is always room for improvement, but there are plenty of resources out there, and people can access to them easily.
Thank you. I know a lot of times when I interact with my daughter goes to a Spanish speaking school, and a lot of times when I interact with schools and students, the students are doing well as far as conversing in English and Spanish, but there are a lot of parents who are not doing well. Does your office here or provide any support to help parents communicate with the schools throughout the district at all?
Yes, we do, Mr. Chairman. One of the ways that we do so is by supporting community programs that are helping people, ESL programs, to help them to learn how to speak the language and how to write it. But also, we go above and beyond in terms of that. And we understand that community relations and like in the PTOs in the schools is really important for parents to get involved into it. So we have a few programs, one of them in Bancroft, to engage with parents that are like limited English speakers, to be able to engage in the extracurricular activities of their kids in the school. It's we call it like the Parents Saturday Academy. And it's like they do trips, they engage in activities, after school activities with their kids and other parents in the community.
Thank you. Are there any public safety concerns that you hear in the Latino community that I should be aware of?
I mean, we constantly are like trying to hear and to engage in the process of being upfront of any issue. We're constantly working with the school system, with our community partners to identify any potential issue that may arise. As of now, the main thing that we're trying to do is to build a strong bridge or connection between MPD and members of our community so they feel comfortable around the police presence, and then they can, if needed, they could submit a request for a report of a situation, or just to feel comfortable around the police presence. So we are working really close with the Latino Liaison Unit, MPD, to build that bridge among DC Latinos constituents and DC MPD. I'm
glad you already answered my next question about the Latino liaison of MPD, and you working with them. Thank you for that. This is more so questions and more so response to some questions you all sent from the agency to the committee. It relates to your office reprogram funds totaling $210,000 that was intended for 2 FTEs. And the rationale given was to purchase outreach materials and various activities for Hispanic Heritage Month, and to provide vital language access services, among other things. I don't want to know, is it necessary to use FTE money for programming? That's
the reason. Yes, Mr. Chairman. The reason why it was due to vacancy savings. We had 2 openings at some point at MOLA, and the money was in FTEs, and right before the end of a fiscal year, and the high level of activities related to the Hispanic Heritage Month and summer activities, we had to request a reprogramming to use the funding for buying outreach materials, engaging in activities to promote improve the life of DC Latino residents.
Has the language access monitor position been filled yet?
Not yet.
What's your plan for filling that vacancy?
We're constantly looking for candidates. In fact, it's posted in together.dc.gov, as well as a DCHR Careers website, and mota.dc.gov as a website.
And does your office provide language access support to other DC government agencies?
We do, and on a daily basis, actually. We provide quality control mainly, and when needed, we provide immediate assistance when required.
What would you say some of the government agencies you all work closely with pretty regularly?
We work really close with MPD, with DMV. We did that with the EHS, DOH, OHR, the Department of Housing and Community Development. Who else from the top of my mind? DCPS for sure. Yeah, DCPS and Public Charter School System as well. We're constantly working with a big number of DC government agencies. One of the goals that we have is to connect as many people as possible through the resources that are there in DC government.
Thank you. I know you mentioned the DMV. Yes. I know one of the complaints I've gotten consistently lately was about a rule change within the DMV. Historically, one could provide a letter to a person and maybe a copy of the ID, I'm not sure, saying that he or she lives here. Now the DMV requires a lease, and there are residents who may not be on the lease, and now because they're not on the lease, aren't able to get ID or license. Are you hearing that in the Latino community at all?
Well, we help people to get access to these IDs with our counterparts at the DMV, and they have listed in their website and the documents required for the purpose of obtaining an ID, whether it's a real ID, a limited purpose driver's license, or any other sort of IDs. It's pretty clear and straightforward, and we abide to what is stated in the DMV. The list is one of the forms that they can present, but I have to double check once again and see if there are any changes that we are not aware of.
Okay, so I guess I'm asking, have you heard any complaints about people not able to produce that and unable?
Sorry. No. I mean, my office, like, people go with the information that if there is an issue, we immediately address them, but not to, I haven't been made aware of.
Got you. In your testimony, you said that during FY22, MOLA subscribed helped 250 plus Washington DC Latinos to the Solar for All program. Could you give us some more information how you did that and how you outreach and what it took to make that happen?
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. And yeah, one way that we did this, like, because we stay open throughout the pandemic, and people start coming more and more to the agency to look for this kind of services. So we have our team that is ready, available, and willing to provide support. And in collaboration with the Department of Energy, DOE, and Environment, we were able to connect these individuals, 250 households, to a program called Solar for All, which is a reduced electricity bill rate program that collectively or individually people enrolled into the program could save $500 a year. And collectively, the 250 individuals were able to save in fiscal year 22 up to $125,000. But it's only one aspect of the program. They also can get access to a training program for a solar panel installation through the Infrastructure Academy. And we're just trying to maximize every interaction that we have with our constituents, whether it's like connecting them to the Solar for All program, Health Insurance Alliance, the ERAP, things that people are looking, and maybe they might not even know that they're looking for this kind of services, but through the interaction, in-person interactions that we have in our office every single day from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., they can learn about all the programs that they might be eligible to.
Gotcha. My staff and I also know that you had a staff assistant position that was vacant. Has that been filled yet?
It was recently vacant. We promoted one of our stellar workers there at MOLA, and we're looking for a new staff assistant.
All right. Is it out to the public yet?
Yes, sir.
Got it. So we do see the growing population of Latino residents east of Anacostia River, and what you want to make sure we're doing our due diligence to serve them. I do noted that in your response, in your response number 4, you stated that to improve the quality of life among DC Latino residents of Ward 7 and 8 by connecting them to service provided by DC government agencies and or community-based organizations. Can you elaborate on how you are doing that?
Yes, if you were able to hear Mr. Sherman from some of the witnesses that testify here today under your committee, we currently have 14 programs at the east of the river, and between fiscal year 22, fiscal year 23, we currently have overall, like past year, this year, 28 programs that we supported. And before I mentioned an amount was $420,000 that we're investing to the east of the river in after school programs through health and wellness program. We have a food distribution that is happening every single month, at least once a month, with wraparound services where we were able to support over 8,000 individuals at the east of the river, just only through this food distribution program in collaboration with Capital Area Food Bank. We're also conducting hiring fairs and many other services that we're doing. We understand, as you mentioned, that individuals at the like Latinos, our population is growing to the east of the river, and we constantly, with our outreach team, which is basically all of us, we always go out there, knock on doors. There are a few buildings that are like basically habitated by in its entirety by Latinos. We go there, we set up a camp and a tent, and we go house by house, unit by unit, to connect them with the services that they might be looking, or maybe they don't even imagine that they're eligible for.
Thank you. Director, how many staff do you currently have?
We have 8 members now and 2 vacancies.
Now this didn't come from you, but I want to bring it to you. Some of the advocates that's doing work in the community, and they gave out a number. I don't know if you heard the number. The number was 10 million. Did you hear that number?
I heard the number, Mr. Sherman.
And I don't know if we can do that just within the committee. I know we can do it with the help of the mayor, and I don't know, but say for hypothetically, right? If there was a budget genie and then 10 million dropped into your lap, what would you do as a director of this agency to serve more Latino district residents?
The first is like that we have to look through the allocation of every funding assigned to MOLA through the lens of racial equity. We have to understand that we serve people with different backgrounds and different needs, and that has to be and must be the main focus, to abide by the racial equity lenses and look everything through that, and understand that there are many other gaps and issues that we have to address. One of them is the digital gap, and we're working really close with different organizations in the community to address these kind of issues. But the main thing is, how do we allocate the funding in an inclusionary way?
Yep. Got it. Well, that's all the questions I have for you at the time, Director. Your staff and yourself did a good job of answering the questionnaires that was distributed to myself and other committee members and our staff. Again, I want to thank you, Director, your staff, and also my staff and committee staff for allowing to have this public hearing today so we can better serve the District of Columbia residents. On a final note for this hearing, anyone cannot testify but would like to submit written testimony to be included in the official record. You can email your testimony to Committee on Recreation, Library, Youth Affairs at RYA at dccouncil.gov. The official record will close Wednesday, February the 8th at 5:30 p.m. The time is now 5:42 p.m. with no other business before us. This hearing is adjourned. Thank you. Have a blessed night.